So, who remembers what happened last week?
By our hands.
Yeah, that happened at the end, yeah. Does anybody remember how we started last week? What was the first thing you guys remember from last week?
Was it last week, really?
It was a week ago, yeah? I'm not forgetting.
All right,
Yeah.
Vor seduced Janna after going to Linton and having them like distill down some of the fell leaf. Or flay leaf.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not, yeah. Zane got arrested.
Right. That was probably what happened first, I guess.
Yeah. And then there was the council meeting where Nero was, like, talking it up, and Kelsira got put on by Oppian. People were pissed off. Nero talked down the dwarf, like union leader or whatever. Mytrop, like, should have been on the council, but he was the people's vote.
He did win the people's vote, yeah. He was tied with Kelsira, and the rules of the council were that the governor decides ties, and that was Oppian. So he decided that his friend in the Glorious Reclamation, the dwarf inquisitor of Torag, would serve on the council instead of the halfling that the people obviously wanted. Because there was an inordinate amount of halflings. There were way more halflings in the audience than usual, because they were all very angry that all their friends appear to be disappearing, and no one's doing anything about it. So they all showed up at the meeting with all their demands, and they tried to get one of their own on the council, saying, we need a seat at the table, and they were denied their seat. And then what happened?
Yeah.
Well, then I think we went to Bob time, and he massacred a whole bunch of people.
Matt, like, dude,
And
he exploded one, and then like grabbed another, like, and, like infused him with fell power, and then like death knelt and sucked like his ass. So
Yeah. And the minions, Zara. Well, one of Zara's minions kind of got it, but most of the minions were like critting like crazy.
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah, one of Zara's minions got knocked unconscious but not killed, and you guys were able, I think Zara actually made the heal check, was able to bandage him up. So he wasn't able to get healed, he's still unconscious, but you guys you threw him on the back of the on the cart with all the ore, and you're taking him back to the camp you guys have set up.
And I think Bob also, before they headed out, made sure that the bunyip was sufficiently cared for.
Yeah, it was stable.
Yeah,
it was fed. It needs water.
Yeah, you need to find it some actual water. You need to move the camp or something to like a lake or a river if you want some water for the bunyip. But yeah, I think
and then we went down to the halfling camp.
Yeah, and then we had some.
Then we went down to the halfling.
Amazing role playing on the Google Plus group over the week. That was fantastic. Do you want to just give a quick summary of what happened for the recording?
Sure. So we basically, well, first we started the interrogation. So when we were down in the halfling camp, during the night, a bunch of bandits came with their bandit leader, trying to do their usual halfling theft, and we basically stopped that, and the halflings were also kind of contributing. That the one was like dazing them like crazy, actually.
Yeah,
it was pretty fun.
What was his name? Perko? What was his name now?
Yeah, Perko, yeah. Was that like an actual character, or did you just make that?
I made that up. I went to a halfling name generator after the session, and I hit the button a couple times until a cool one came up.
I'm pretty sure we're like all like off the rails right now, right?
Yeah. I'll talk about it more when the adventure, the chapter is over, or whatever. But you guys are this is not at all what the book is supposed to be like. Yeah. It's fun though. I'm having a really great time.
Good. So then basically once we finished the session, then we started with the interrogation. So we had the bandits all tied up. We did a little bit of good cop, bad cop with Vors and Iwan. Didn't take much, and the bandit leader spilled the beans about the kind of minor noble house that they were working for. Which Vors, I think, actually knew the house. Is that right?
Yeah,
Vors better know that.
Yeah, Vors knows a lot about the Chelish nobility, and he, even though these are minor houses, he knows that they have a history of squabbling. Like the courts in Agorian, the capital city of Cheliax, like are constantly like, judging things like this, like house squabbles, stuff like this. And this has definitely come up enough times that he knows these two are like the Hatfield and McCoys out here.
Yeah. So then, once we got that information, then Nero kind of considered the legality of like how they should be handled, and it seemed a bit ambiguous.
Mm-hmm.
So Boris asked him to just walk away.
Yeah, so he just in gray area sorts of situations and let the halflings decide. Very diplomatic. And the halflings, of course, decided to slit their throats.
By our hands.
By our hands.
Which Iwan and Boris watched and kind of very enthusiastically.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, and then we okay, so then like while we were leaving, basically my trop delivered this inspiring speech, and Iwan kind of got ahead of herself and spilled a little bit of the beans about what they were planning, and like did all the showboating for them. She also gave instructions for Perko to learn sleep, which would kind of be the logical extension of days, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then we bolted from town, and maybe Chris, I'll let you take the summary from there if you want it.
Wait, sorry, what's that?
Okay, I'll keep going then.
Yeah, no, sorry, I spaced out for a second. I was reading something.
No, that's fine. So we bolted from town, and then Iwan and Vors kind of had a little bit of... So Vors started in with a discussion to try to calm Iwan down and let her know that she has to be patient, and Iwan talked a little bit about her history and like being the reason why she's impatient and how the stakes are high and stuff, and Vors seemingly understood, but also when Iwan asked him about why he cares, he kind of explained his backstory as well, and then they have somewhat of a mutual understanding now, I guess, and that was kind of it, and they were making their way back to the Uskwood.
We also role-played breakfast a little bit, and we agreed that Vors is going to go talk to Linton, and that Nero is going to recuse himself from the town council to defend Zane if he can. And that's basically assuming like my trop's going to step up and basically just vote as he would anyway. So.
And we also decided to scout out the, what is it called, like the hold or whatever?
Valor's Fastness.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a fortress, and also inside there's a temple to Iomedae. There are regular services that I've totally forgotten about, like had that happen like once a week or whatever, and people are allowed in, so it's not like a whole fortress. But now that things have gotten a little shittier in town, it's a little more guarded than it used to be.
Yeah. Mechanics question real quick. Ugathals.
Yeah.
Are they like ostensibly evil creatures? Right? They're chaotic evil, right?
They are chaotic evil, yes. There's always variations and everything. Like you can be like Drizzt is a good drow, where they're supposed to be like lawful evil things, but you can always be the opposite of what things are. Every character is different.
Okay.
But yes, by and large, you would think they are chaotic evil creatures that just run around feeding on things, like their uncontrollable, unsatiable hunger. And yeah. But as Nero said in the Google group, it seems odd that these ones seem to have taken on permanent identities and have been living in town for years.
Yeah.
And that's different. That's not something you'd associate with Ugathals and Faceless Stalkers normally.
Right. No, I was just wondering what would happen if like a cleric went all squinty or a paladin did.
Yeah.
So.
That is accurate, correct.
Okay.
All right. So when we pick up, before we get to the morning and everything else of people in town, Mr. Michael, Mr. Bob El Zub. So as I said on the Google group, I'm not sure if you noticed, but the raid you did on the caravan, even though we did it first because we randomly decided that, it actually takes you a while to get up there. So you're going to be out of town for like 2 days. You're going to spend like a day going north, and then you do the caravan stuff, and you're going to spend a day coming south. So we're just going to do the day coming south right now. So we'll pick up next time with you as at the camp. But on the way back, Zara kind of wants to talk to you. She says, like, how'd it go in town? What happened?
Well, is she talking about the election?
Yeah, she has no idea what happened. You basically left her with all your men, and you went to town for a couple hours, and then came back and said, "Hey, we're doing this raid up here." And she just she just accepted all your orders because she actually sent the guys out to help scout and find the thing, and then you met up with them, and then they said, "Here it is. We're going to go do the raid."
All right. So, what is her emotion here?
She's terse as always, and just looks like down to business. She's, you guys are walking back with the horses and the cart. So there's this big cart full of ore, and you have some of your men are on the back. One's unconscious, laying on top because he's still almost dead, and some other ones are actually just kind of counting things up for you as you move. And Zara and you are walking in front of the horses, just kind of away from the rest of the group, and she's just looking at you. So what's going on? What happened in town?
Bob just looks at her and says, "Democracy prevailed."
She raises an eyebrow and says, "What do you democracy? What do you mean?"
The people got their election.
She has no idea what you're talking about. She raises an eyebrow and she shakes her head. She's like, what's going on? How are we taking the town back? What's the next thing to strike?
I just look at her and I say, "The little one."
And she looks totally confused. What little one?
Nero, the little one.
Oh, well, Nero's not the littlest. Okay, she says Nero, and she seems confused. Like I thought Iwan would be the little one.
No,
But what about Nero?
Iwan's the dead guy one.
She seems surprised by that. I'm not sure that she's actually seen Iwan do any spells. Like, what do you mean she's the dead guy one?
No, I didn't say that. I'm telling you. This is outside.
What? We're role playing. She's asking you questions.
Okay, Nero.
If you had a Bob voice that you use that's different from your like Mike voice, then we might be able to like.
Yeah. So she seems very confused. Like, what about Nero? What do you mean?
Nero was elected.
Elected to what?
The town council.
And so she shakes her head and says, "I don't understand." He was elected. What to what end?
He was fairly elected, and now we have a seat on the council.
Okay, she seems a little more interested with that. She's like, "Okay, what's the plan? What are we going to do? What does the council seat get us?"
Power.
She shakes her head, like power with them, with the glorious reclamation.
Power over the people.
She shakes her head and she makes a fist. Says, "This is power." She points to the sword on her waist. Like, "This is power."
Bob Elzub taps his head and he says, "This is power." Harkening back to Boozlebob.
Yeah, she shakes her head again and says, I don't know about this. I mean, like the strike on the sword tower, that's what we need to do. We need to be doing more of that. We need to be raising more chaos and tearing this city down until it's ours again.
Yes, but the city cannot be ours. The people will not be on our side unless we create chaos in the government also.
She says we should just kill them all. The people will fall and they'll serve whoever they are. They're sheep. They'll serve whoever rises to the top.
But they'll gladly serve with people who they think are their friends.
She raises her hand and says, none of that. That's not how government works. Not here, not in Shellyax.
Well, we are the government now, so...
And she says, one seat in a democracy, and she scoffs at the word democracy.
Mm.
And she asks again, what's the next move then? With this seat, what do we do next? What do we strike next? She gestures to all your men behind you. You know, we hit the sword tower, we hit this caravan, we're doing amazingly well. We should keep going. We have the morale now. What do we do?
You and I will go out and attack things after we save the Bunyip.
She rolls her eyes about the Bunyip, but says nothing.
You and I will go out on the assault and let the others take care of the town.
She nods. Says, okay, do you have any ideas? What's next? What's the next target? What should I be planning for?
I have no idea.
Mike has no idea, or did you roleplay say I have no idea?
Mike has no idea, and I just kind of point it back at her, and I say, "Well, what do you think we should attack?"
She says, "I haven't been in town for weeks. You know, I was at the hardship's hearth. I was locked away for weeks before you came to rescue me, and well, I guess the other guys came to rescue me. And you know, I've been out in the forest since. Other than the quick strike on the sword tower, you know, I know very little about what's going on."
Fair enough. I don't know. I'll just say when we get... Yeah, okay, so when we get back to town, we'll meet with the others and ask them what they want to attack.
Yes, are we going to town or are we going back to the camp?
Well, first we're going to the camp. We're going to leave all the dead bodies and loot there.
She nods. And then what?
And then we're going to go to the bar.
Which bar?
Oh, God, I don't know the name of the bar. The one that we were at the other day, man.
No, if Zara wasn't, are you going to take Zara, or are you going to just go Han Solo? And then give her her orders?
Go Han Solo and give her orders, because she has to watch my army.
Yeah, and she's very well known. She says, like, I can't go to the bar, I can't go to town. Like, they know who I am. Like, you're lucky enough that most of the town has never seen your face. But I was in town for weeks before they captured me. I'm very well known. Like, a Hell Knight is stick out like a sore thumb.
Right, yes. You'll watch the men. I'll get the beer. I'll get the plan.
And she nods and says, okay, but I don't like sitting idle for long. I don't know about this. You know, the patrols that we've seen, like, they're stupid. They haven't found us yet, but, you know, there's no way we're going to stay hidden forever. She says, this is going too slowly for my liking. We should act. We should take this town.
I will talk to the others and get back to you.
She seems a little sad that, you know, you're obviously not the leader, and she's come to understand that now, and she's like, oh, okay, I'll stay with the men. I'll make sure everything's okay.
I mean, I've got the biggest army, so...
You do have the biggest army. So she nods and she continues walking. Is there anything else you want to talk to on the way back to the camp?
Is there anything else I want to talk to?
Anyone else or anything you want to talk about? Do you want to inspire your men on the walk back? Nothing.
Inspire my men? Yeah, I mean, we're singing songs. I don't know what songs we're singing, but...
All right. In addition to all the ore that they're still counting along the way, they found a cask of dwarven ale among all the precious metals. And some of your men would like to partake in it.
Not on the road when we get back to camp?
Okay, a lot of them seem a little dejected, but none of them would be so bold as to disobey your orders. You've scared them enough times that they don't want to be scared again. So yeah, so they all nod, of course, and several of them get back to counting the ore.
And they'll each get some ore when we get back also?
So you're offering them all ore?
Well, yeah, I'll offer them some money from my own money.
Okay. Are you assuming that all the ore is yours then?
No, I'm just going to pay them for helping me.
Okay. Yeah, so they're all very happy. Like, they've just been serving you out of, you know, because they're loyal Thrune people and they believe that you're going to restore the Thrunish government here. But hearing that there's actually money on the line, too, is pretty good. You know, they haven't been paid in weeks. They've basically been scavenging for food. And ever since Rima left, there's been very shitty food around. Yes. I think there was one of them, Thrune Loyalist 4 is the deputy chef. You deputized him to cook. But he's not very good at it.
That's disappointing. We should get him some new clothes and bring him to the bar to learn how to cook.
Okay. So yeah, so you and your rest of your guys you're going to be heading back to the camp. It's going to take you another full day to get back. So like 2 days will have passed since you left, and we're going to pick up with the rest of the party. So is there anything else you want to do with your men out there?
No, not really on the way back. They're singing songs. I promised to give them some money and food.
All right. Yeah,
and they can get drunk when they get back to camp.
They're all very happy to hear all of those things, and morale is very high amongst all your troops. Even the ones that are loyal to Zara, they're very happy to hear all that. And the one that's injured, Zara's loyal guy that's injured, he's totally fine, not dying, just in a bad way. And you guys keep going. All right. So going back to the rest of the party. So now it's the morning. You guys stayed out late with the halflings, and you did a bunch of beating up and torturing and questioning. And then you left, and you told all the halflings to tell no one that you were doing it, but basically let the halflings say that they were defending themselves so that people get scared of the halfling communities. And you guys had some breakfast. You had some breakfast conversation, but you know no one's left yet, and you kind of planned out your day. But let's just pick up the little Luskwood. So Loredana's there. She made you breakfast as usual. And what would you guys like to do?
So I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know what time the trial is supposed to start during the day?
We'll say early afternoon, like noon again, just like the town council meeting.
Okay. Because I think basically so how long do you have to sleep in order for it to be considered a full night?
It's 8 hours.
Okay. And we're getting back at what, like 5 or 6 or something like that?
We could say yeah, because that was about 3 in the morning when that was happening, and then we'll say you spent an hour.
Does it have to be 8 hours continuously?
No, it doesn't have to be continuous. It's just to be 8 hours total.
Okay, because she did sleep, then wake up to deposit the.
Yeah.
Thing. So anyway,
okay.
I think
we'll say everybody's rested. That's easy enough. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have her sleep in until the council. She's not like around right now. She's
okay.
She's in until just before the trial.
Okie dokie. So Nero and Vors, what would you like to do?
So I'll go see about the magical artifacts and visiting with Zane and talking to Oppian. And do you want to talk to Mr. Linton?
Yeah, I was going to go. Oh, yeah, where we left on the Google group is I was going to fill it out with Linton. Basically, just let him know that I'm kind of onto him, but we're cool with it.
Sure.
Okay, let's do the Linton first. So are you guys going together, or is Vors going alone to Linton's?
Probably go alone. Just be less threatening.
Sure. Sure.
All right, I'll take you to Linton's.
At some point, Nero tries to rouse Iwin, but if she doesn't want to get up and go with him to the thing, he's
Sure, you can hang out. You can hang out, eating breakfast and talking to Loredana, and then when you're about to leave, we'll see if Iwin's going to be well enough rested. I think she probably will be.
And Vors was sleeping at the camp beforehand, so.
Okay. At the halfling camp, or which camp?
No, I remember Vors was sleeping at the halfling camp. I think Iwin was too, right?
Yeah, everybody was sleeping. Yeah, for a while.
Yeah.
So this is a new map. Should load.
Ooh, you've been busy.
No, this was on the internet. I just sucked it in. I didn't make it.
Okay.
You just Google like VTT map alchemist and boom. Anyway, yeah. So you get here, and I have some music for this now too. Look at me.
Ooh.
Look at me. All right. So you walk in to the alchemist shop, and nobody's in the front room. And you can see all of his potions and stuff are all kind of hanging around. And then toss me a perception check.
So first. Well.
Yeah. You can hear that Linton is talking to somebody in the back room, but you can't make out specific words. You didn't roll well enough to know exactly what's being said. But he's clearly talking to someone behind the counter in the back room.
Okay. I closed the door loudly behind me.
All right. Yeah, so you close it loudly, and I'm pretty sure he's going to hear it. But let's see if he's really bad at perception. Yeah, okay, he hears it. So you hear them. The conversation in the back room stops, and Linton walks through the door to the counter. He says, "Vors, what can I do for you?"
Not Linton. I just wanted to check in and like get a word in with you before the town council meeting today.
He's like, "Oh, you mean the trial?"
Oh yes, the trial.
Yeah. He nods and says, "What about it?"
I was wondering, may I speak with you in confidence? Like, is there anybody else here that you wouldn't want to overhear a private conversation?
He pauses for a moment and says, "No one I wouldn't mind overhearing anything."
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure that you've sensed that Oppian is probably on his way out, and that there seems to be a new sort of government forming, and I just wanted to come and talk to you since like you hold a seat on the council, that to let you know that like the council will be preserved, and we just wanted to emphasize that we are going to push for tolerance of all sorts of beings in this place.
He raises an eyebrow. He's very interested on the wording you chose. He's like, I've heard a lot of things like this recently, and he says I heard the halflings had an interesting night last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, What happened? I haven't heard anything.
Well, he says apparently some slavers came and they were quickly dispatched and just their bodies are gone, from what I understand.
Really? Well, it's about time those little guys like stood up for themselves. I know, like Iwan and I showed them some pointers last night and brought them some thunderstones. They probably put those to good use. I know Iwan was able to train one of them to like start dazing people. So
he says, I heard you guys did more than that. I heard there was more than training going on.
Well, yeah, I think I think the halflings should be able to fend for themselves from now on, though.
He smiles and I said, that's a good thing. It's a terrible mess what happens to those poor halflings, and no one seems to care. No one seems to do anything about it. They need to stand up for themselves, I suppose.
So yeah, Linton, I want to be candid with you.
I'd appreciate that very much.
How long have you been living here among the humans?
He seems shocked. He begins to answer, says 11, and then he looks at you as you said among the humans. He says 11 years. What do you mean? Among the humans.
I mean that seems an uncharacteristically like long time for someone with your background.
And so go ahead and make a bluff check. Basically, you're just conveying subtleties, and he's gonna roll a sense motive check.
Which is that? Is it the guy with like the squinty
eye? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so yeah, you did a good enough job. He picked up on it too. So he's pretty sure. He's picking up what you're putting down, and he says, she was right. And he raises his hand and he knocks on the wooden door, and Rima walks out from behind. And, and he looks at Rima and says, "They know."
Good morning, Rima. How have you been?
She nods and says, "Hello, Baron."
So yeah, Linton, I wanted to emphasize that we have absolutely no plans to expose or persecute you, and like you seem to be living here peacefully for a long time, and we don't want to disrupt that.
Yeah, he nods and he says, I appreciate the directness and the discretion you've shown here, and I appreciate you telling me everything that you know. So let me tell you some things that I know, and I will show you the same candor. And he says, Rima has told me everything that happened at Hardship's Hearth, who was there and who did what.
Oh, okay.
And he also says, I heard mentions from another friend of mine about what was said last night by a particular gnome at the Halfling camp. Musings of a new government.
Oh yes. Well, yeah, the Glorious Reclamation. They're not going to last very long here.
He nods and he says, "These things, combined with all the other rumors floating around town about you and your friends, make several things very clear to me. First, what your objectives are, at least broadly. Second, the lengths at which you will go to achieve these. And third, the fact that it seems like you have the backing to see these things through. Am I wrong about any of this?"
No, you're quite on point.
So he nods and he looks at Rima, and Rima nods back. And he basically says, I've worked with the Iomedean Church here in Cantaria even before the Glorious Reclamation showed up. But I have no love for them or what they do or what they seek to build here in Cantaria. If anything, they've hurt my business in the weeks since the revolution.
Yeah, it's not a good government to have in place, and yeah, it shouldn't be much longer before before Oppian is ousted, and there are very few of us 3 to be exact, that know of your true nature, and word will not be like that information will not be shared beyond there, beyond that like tight group. So I guess what we're asking you is to basically follow Nero's lead on the council and in the meetings, and trust us to see things through, and to basically we just want you to let things run their course and let us take care of what we need to.
He nods and says, I see no reason to stand in your way. As long as me and my people and my business are preserved, I have no problem with that. Seeing the Imedeans run out of town would be fantastic for me. Since they've showed up and all the clerics and novices have come to town, all the people in town have gone to have their ailments cured by the priests, instead of coming here for my potions and bloodletting.
So is that how you've been able to sustain yourself? Is just like bloodletting from the townspeople?
He smirks now that you've obviously conveyed to him that you know what's going on. He says, "Yes, I'm able to pacify most of my friends with simple, just squeezing the blood from leeches that people voluntarily give to relieve their maladies. But every once in a while, I lose. Every once in a while, the hunger gets too much for some of them, and reluctantly, people disappear. And under the Thrunish government, that was seen as a regular occurrence. No one really thought it was out of the ordinary. But now that Imedeans are in charge, I'm having trouble acquiring blood for the bloodletting and controlling my people. And when people start going missing now, people make a bigger deal about it."
How many mouths do you have to feed?
He shakes his head and says, I don't trust you that much.
Fair enough. Well, how about this? Do you have anybody that you'd be willing to perhaps like nominate or put into a position as a jailer, should a new government form, so that you may have access to more unscrupulous types who could go missing more easily?
He says, yes, but he looks at you like, how much do you know about us?
I know enough.
He says, well, then you'll know that we can take any form we like.
Mm-hmm.
And
Indeed.
Certainly one of us could serve as a jailer if required.
Good. Now, if we had like other, say like short-term missions, do you think we could like count on you, like for that sort of thing? If we needed somebody to, like take the form of somebody else?
He says, I'd have to ask, among my friends. I wouldn't put any of them in harm's way without their consents, but if it was agreeable to them, certainly.
Naturally. It's just, it may, hopefully it won't, but it may come to the point where we may need somebody to be impersonated. So.
He nods and he turns to Rima, who was smiling. And he says, certainly, if you have more specifics and you have things nailed down more firmly, just let us know and we'll see what we can do.
Well, I think things will start falling into place once we see how the rest of the council reacts to the trial today.
He says, and what would you have us do? What does Nero want for this trial?
Nero, he's planning on defending Zane, actually.
He perks up. He's like, really? He was just elected to the council.
Right.
Certainly he can't do both. He can't vote and represent Zane.
Indeed. But my trop should fill right in. So we have another de facto vote there. I trust Nero. Like the man has a legal mind. It's very astute. I trust him to know what he's doing.
He starts stroking his goatee and he says, "I'm not sure what Zane will think of that, though. He's not a man to accept help easily.
Well, he's not exactly in a position to say no.
No, he laughs a bit. Rima is just stone-faced. But he seems okay with that. He says, well, is there anything else?
How's that Zerk coming along?
Probably pretty good. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, so he's been able to reproduce it. So the sample you gave him, he's been able to create more just with reagents around the lab. And he said, yeah, he's like, it's going fairly well, and I believe I could produce much more given sufficient quantities of reagents.
Excellent. You know, have you ever thought about like going into the drug business?
And he smiles and says, "Going into."
Oh, I mean, no, like expanding your operation.
And he says, like, if the Glorious Reclamation were run out of town, I could see me doing lots of things. The Chelish government here before was also against drugs, but they can always be paid to look the other way. That's the good thing about the governments of Cheliax.
All right, so I want to. All right, so I have something else that I may like you to take a look at. Here, check out. It's called Keef.
And it says, I know this well. This is a fairly common drug.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if you need to craft it or whatever, but this is just something else to check out in your spare time.
Yeah. So basically, he looks at this. Says, this needs to be grown. I can refine it and purify it if you like, but I don't think I could reproduce samples of this. This is just it's part of it. In this world, it's a cactus. It's cactus.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So he's like, you'd need more plants, and he says if you can get me more samples, I can help you refine it into something more powerful.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give all 4. I'll give them all 4 to basically distill down into like a very, like concentrated like elixir.
Okay, so you want a liquid then? Okay, so he nods and says, he's like as the flay leaf, certainly.
Oh, indeed, yes.
And he smiles and says, "You enjoy your beverages, yes?"
That I do.
As do I.
So I guess so Linton, I guess do you have any other questions before I go? I really should get back to help Nero prepare if he needs it.
He asks you very directly, do you want Zane found innocent or guilty?
He should be he should be found not guilty.
He nods. He says, all right then, we'll see how the trial goes.
But more than anything, I need you to listen to Nero and follow his lead. If something else comes up, then we need to adjust on the fly. Then yeah, just follow Nero's lead, and it'll be okay.
He nods. Understood.
All right. So, Linton, thank you for your time. Rima, good morning.
Rima nods. All right, and you walk out of the shop. So I will cut you back to the little Uskwood. All right. So Vors was doing that. You were saying something else, Chris? Sorry.
Should I do like a diplomacy check or anything?
Sure. Just see how well you schmoozed him. He already enjoys doing business with you, but go ahead. Go ahead and make a diplomacy check if you like.
There I am. I'm actually gonna burn a hero point just to like really. He's worth a hero point.
Yeah,
right.
A 30? Yeah. Yeah, so you schmooze him the whole time, and he's been nodding along, and you've done a lot of dealing with him in the past. He's refined drugs for you, and he as he explained, he's heard of what you've done. His agents have seen firsthand what you've done in both the Halfling camp and at the Hardship's Hearth that you burnt to the ground and freed all the loyalists. And he does believe that you are on the winning side here. And he said that he has no love for the Imedean Church or the Glorious Reclamation, and he's okay with what's going on. So, There you go. So while he was doing that, Nero, were you waiting for him to come back, or were you going to go with Iwan during that?
I would go with Iwan during that, probably.
Okay. So Iwan's sleeping, but she gets enough sleep to be able to do her stuff. Like, I'm going to just hand wave and say she's good. So you would just knock on her door and wake her up, and hopefully not piss off the undead hound.
Yes. Yes, if we're lucky.
All right. You do so, and Iwan, you wake up. You got some sleep in your eyes, but you're fully rested.
So, were you coming with me to see the inside of the fortress?
Iwan kind of reluctantly starts getting up and is like, I suppose I should, and joins Nero for it.
All right. And you're doing what? You're going to the fastness where he is being kept, presumably?
Yes, if we can, yes.
All right. So, just real quick, I'll show you the town of Cantaria again. So, the little Esquid is in the top left. And number 13, the big fortress down there, is the Valor's Fastness, which is a big fortress and temple or cathedral to Ayamade. So you guys are going to walk through most of the town. Do you want to do anything in particular along the way? Or just heading straight there?
I think Iwan would just be looking around to see if her signs are still up and if people are like reacting to him at all.
That's a good point. I didn't write anything down for that. But yeah, so some of them are still up. Some of them have been torn down by guards. But as you're walking by, you do see some that haven't been taken yet. And a lot of the crowd are with you. A lot of the crowd believe this government is becoming incompetent. A lot of the people, though they don't like Zane very much because he's kind of a condescending asshole to a lot of them, they do believe that he was working in the best interest of the town, and they don't believe that he set off this bottle. They don't believe, what did he have to gain from this? And the things he was shouting as he was arrested, people seem to agree with him. Like, I don't understand why he was arrested. And, you know, things like that. And the town council meeting reinforced all this, like yesterday. The Oppian didn't seem to have things well in hand, and he couldn't answer questions appropriately. He wanted to have the trial 2 days from now, and you guys basically talked it to today. So the town's losing a lot of faith in the ruling class, and your posters have hit the nail on the head there. And I'll take you to Valor's Fastness.
Joe, if Nero could stop and grab a legal book, just sort of borrow a legal book from the boys with the bookshop.
Sure. Yeah, you've been studying a
And
couple,
did,
so you can go borrow one. Mm-hmm.
Sure. Did they ever find that shred of skin?
Was that in the same place as the cap?
Mm-hmm.
Then yes, they would have. I think we forgot to do that, but yeah, so they would have found the cap with a shred of the monk's skin. And Oppian was already mad enough about the cap that he ordered him arrested on the spot, but seeing a shred of the monk's skin, Jalea Hadrara's skin, that would have made him even more angry. So yeah, so that's all gone. Thanks for reminding me. We totally forgot about that.
No worries. I was thinking about it this week, and I blacked out about it too.
Alright, so you approach Valor's Fastness, and let's see if there's stuff to read about that. You approach a big gate. So a sturdy wooden gate stands between two towers in the thick white walls of the fortress. Traditionally, Ayamadean temples are made of like just white marble. They have very, very expensive marble walls. The sword and sun symbol of Ayamade is painted on the gate in vibrant colors. And as you approach, there are 4 guards in each of the towers, and they call out to you and ask you what your business is here.
I came to see Phaedrith Zane.
And you hear some muttering on one of the top of the towers. On whose authority?
Do I need authority? I'm on the town council.
And they go back and forth a little bit, and they do know they are aware you are on the town council. And he says, "Well, what is the purpose of your visit? Why were you visiting him?"
I mean, because before all this happened, he was a friend to me. I wanted to discuss some of the things I hear that he's planning to do are rather foolish. I wanted to speak to him.
So they begin muttering again up top, and they say, all right. And they open the gate. You can hear, like, there's a big clanking of mechanical stuff on both sides of the towers. And
okay.
As it does, the big wooden gates begin opening inward, and you can pass through. Sure. Yeah, I'll take it. Ambient fantasy music. Done.
Yeah.
Thank you, because it was getting a little quiet. Yeah. I didn't have anything planned for the Valor's Fastness tour. Yeah. So you guys, the door's open, and you can walk in, and you see a very large courtyard, and there are 2 guards standing in front of the main entrances to the temple. Let's see what it has to say about this courtyard. A whitewashed stone tower. Oh no, that's the guard towers. Bushes and trees grow in this well-tended grass, of this expansive inner courtyard, and a gravel path runs northeast from the fortress's main gate to the temple proper. The path encircles a magnificent stone fountain, atop which a tall sword stands, its length thrust halfway into the fountain spout. Names are engraved all along the sides of the fountain.
What do the names on the fountain look like?
They're just several names, mostly human names. Some of them antiquated. You can make a knowledge check if you want to know anything about them.
Sure.
Iwen does not know what these names represent. Some of them sound vaguely familiar to her, but she doesn't remember exactly what they're from. Nero rolled a bit better, and you are aware that the names engraved on the fountain are those of particularly famous heroes that are buried here. Some who served with Iyamade herself during the defense of this town hundreds of years ago, however long it was.
Okay.
And you believe that this spot used to be a graveyard. Like, there are dead buried here, but the individual graves have been removed and replaced with this ornate fountain.
Okay.
Alright. You guys are gonna go to the main door of the temple?
Yeah.
Alright. So you get up to the door, and these guards weren't really told. Like, they don't communicate with the guards in the towers, so they ask you what your business is. They say, on Oppian's orders, we're required to question everyone who wishes to enter the temple. What is your business here?
I came to see Phaedra Zane.
And they look at each... Yeah? Hmm?
And I am but his lowly scribe.
So they look at each other, and they say this is Nero of House Nero. He's on the council. Well, do they know you're of House Nero? Did you? Sorry.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
They probably should. Yeah. This is Nero. From the town council meeting, and they're like, oh, of course. So they're talking, and they're getting agreeable, and as that happens, you begin to hear the sound of a dog barking, but you don't see one.
Does it sound like it's coming from the other side of the door?
It sounds like it's coming from the fountain.
Oh, okay.
Is there a dog in the fountain?
The guards both look up and they put their hands on their swords. As you see, coming out of the fountain is a spectral dog.
Can we knowledge check that shit?
Sure. Iwen does not know what that dog is, but you can tell it's some sort of incorporeal ghost dog. And Nero rolled better. You believe this was a myth, but apparently it is a myth that has some truth to it. You believe this to be Exemplar. This was Iyamade's faithful hound that actually she lived with this dog, and it is apparently still alive and here as some sort of ghost creature. And it is growling and barking at Iwen.
Nero will try to interpose between Iwen and the dog.
It seems to be ignoring you, Nero. It doesn't care much about you, but it is kind of looking around you and growling and barking at Iwen. And both of the reclamation sergeants are kind of, again, they have their hands on the hilt of their weapon, and they're not sure what's going on. And then Exemplar howls. So make a will save, Iwen. You are unaffected. The howl is very loud and scary and terrifying, but you shake it off. You're unaffected by the howl, and the dog sits growling at you angry that you didn't react to its howl.
Does this happen often?
The
Nero
guards
says to the guards.
The guards shake their head and say, "I've never seen this happen before." Like one admits, like, you know, that that's exemplar. Like, you know, he walks around the courtyard. He's never growled or howled like that. And they're all looking around. And also a lot of guards from the towers. The other two towers on the side also have 4 guards in them. And all of the guards are now looking into the courtyard to see why exemplar is howling.
Interesting.
Doesn't seem many gnomes, I guess, does it?
They say there's not many in town. There's a couple, and they attend services regularly.
I've never seen something like this before. I thought this was a myth. And Nero sort of reaches his hand out to the dog.
The dog doesn't avoid you, but it's getting down low and growling again at Iwan, very, very angrily.
So Iwan will kind of back up towards the guards and look at them and be like, you know, oh, you won't let it hurt me, will you?
So are you feigning that? Are you actually asking for their help, or are you bluffing to be weaker?
She's kind of she's doing a bit of showmanship.
Yeah. So go ahead, toss a bluff out there. Who did let the dogs out? Yeah. So they both believe your gambit, and they're like, no, of course, please move inside. And they look very curious, and they look at each other. And then they open the doors for you to move in. Bloop.
She kind of like, you know, oh, thank you kindly, and scampers her way inside.
And Nero goes after her and just says to the sergeants as he leaves, you know, that's very interesting. I thought maybe one of Calcyra's dogs got in the fountain somehow, and I don't know how I would have missed that on the walk past.
And as you're moving inside, the dog begins following you slowly, but doesn't follow you inside. And it's barking the whole time. And then you get inside, and it seems to vanish. And you're in here. You are in what is called the Narthex. The walls of this expansive chamber are covered in elaborate frescoes depicting Iomede's greatest heroic struggles, including the Shining Crusade, the salvation of Cantaria, and the test of the Starstone, where she became a god. Remember, she was immortal before this. Sturdy stone pillars etched with intricately carved text are evenly spaced alongside the walls. And you can see there's a couple columns, as I said, and you're here, and I guess one of the guards will accompany you. And they say there's a room to the right. It says we'll go get Zane, and they open this door for you to head into here.
Really, you're gonna let him out? That's interesting. I mean, if you want me to go to the holding with you, I'll go there as well. But I'll do whatever you say. No,
he says guests aren't allowed on the second level, and that's where he's being kept. So he says, we'll move him to here. And the other guards, basically, he makes a gesture and he says, like, what's he gonna do? What's the half-elf gonna do? We've taken away all his baubles and components and spellbook.
Fair enough.
So one of them stays with you near the door, and the other one goes to get him. I'll just go ahead and bring him down now. And they bring him down. And it's Phaedra Zane. So he's there, and he's still in manacles as he's bringing him down, and the guard moves him over. And as he walks into the room, he sees you, Nero, and he looks at you with anger in his eyes, and he just says, "You! What are you doing here?"
I came here because I hear you're thinking about defending yourself.
Says I am. What of it?
You're a very bright man. Have you ever heard of that going well for someone?
He looks confused. What do you mean?
Have you ever heard of someone defending themselves and it going well?
And
Nero starts pointing out obscure legal references about this person, this year, this place, executed. This person, this year, this place, hard labor.
As you begin getting into it, like you get to like the third person, he says enough. I'm not going to sit here and listen to this from you. And he says, not 2 hours after you visited me, Oppian shows up, blathering on about all the artifacts I'm looking at, artifacts we discussed. And he seems furious. They seem to know exactly what they were looking for and exactly where to find them. Very shortly after you visited me, I'd never seen these before in my life. The skin of Jalea. Why would I have that?
The what?
Did you know it's there or not? Are you bluffing?
I assume that Nero would probably. I assume that Iwan probably told him.
Okay, then make a bluff check. That's not a lie, but you are pretending to not know that. So go ahead.
Yeah, he's basically. Yeah, I'll get more into it in a minute.
Yes. So he does seem to believe that you don't know what it is, and he says, I don't know what kind of half-assed frame-up this is, but I have no part of this, and it's very suspicious that you were there an hour or two before all of this went down.
I told Oppian that you should have known what that bottle was, but I didn't wander your house. I didn't plant anything at your house, and to be honest, I think even an arrest is premature.
All of which is true.
I imagine if you found a shred of Jalila's skin. Is that what you said?
He looks frustrated. He says, "Yes. I don't. The warden of the jail. She had tattoos on her skin. I know nothing about it. I have no idea why anyone would want that. What kind of macabre scene that is."
It would seem that they're trying to tie you to what happened at Valor's Fastness, whoever it is.
You mean Hardship's Hearth?
Oh, Hardship's Hearth, excuse me.
Yeah. And he says, he looks very upset. He's like, I don't believe any of this. I don't want to be talking to you. And he looks over to the guard as if gesturing like, I'd rather be back in my cell.
Phaedrith, just hear me out. Even if public sentiment is against you, I've been researching multiple texts. There's more than enough in the teachings of Irori, in the teachings of Torag, in the teachings of Iamade. This is not a proper arrest. This is not a just arrest.
And he nods and says, I know that, and I will be found innocent at my trial.
Do you want to take the chance with what the people in town think of you? What if the council splits and it's up to the town? Do you think you have enough of the people's goodwill at heart? You're many things. You're not the most accessible man.
He kind of waves his hand and says, I don't believe the council will be split. I don't believe... There's no evidence. There's no hard evidence, and the council will not vote to convict me without any evidence, without any hard evidence. This is all circumstantial.
It's enough to give me pause. I worry about it.
He nods. He goes from shaking his head to nodding briefly, but he says, my heart is pure. They certainly they will see that, and they will know I'm speaking the truth.
You were speaking the truth when you spoke to Oppian, and you're here.
He says, yes, Oppian. Oppian is at blind in one eye at best.
I didn't expect what happened with the council. If
he asked what happened with the council.
If everything goes, they elected new people to the council.
He seems surprised as if he hasn't been told. Who was elected?
They elected Calcyra the Just.
To replace Jalea?
And, to replace Jalea. And I wanted to let you know because I think that this is only going to be a temporary thing, but they elected me as well, I think, to replace you.
He scoffs and he actually covers his face for a second. He says, then Oppian is blind in both eyes.
I don't know that I disagree with you. They were howling for the trial to take place yesterday, immediately. Oppian gave them 2 days. I convinced Oppian to soften and to have it today.
He nods. He's like, I appreciate anything that gets me out of that cell faster, so thank you for that.
Of course, but I have a lot of ideas about I don't want this to go wrong for you.
Well,
if you won't let me defend you, because I think that this is something that you should escape, be acquitted of, I should say. If not, then let me at least discuss some of the things I found with you.
He nods and he says, I do not wish you to defend me. If you believe me innocent, I'd rather have your vote on the council. Whoever they choose to replace you might not believe as you do.
I think it'll be a fair trial.
He smiles.
You know, I just whenever things get put up to the judgment of the mob, it makes me a little nervous.
He nods and he says, if Kelsyra is elected to the council, it will certainly be a fair trial. And the truth shall be known.
All right. Well, let me show you some of the things I found. I don't think they'll give me all day to do this, but I could show you a few of the things.
Yeah, so he's been standing this whole time. There's a table in the room. I'm not sure if you guys sat down while you were waiting for him. But he was standing, basically ready to go. And that one time he actually looked to the guard to, like, send me back to my cell. But having heard all this, he does sit down. And he's sitting there cross-armed as you present, you open the book and you present whatever arguments you would like to make.
Sure. So Nero basically has a lot of legalistic sort of arguments about the chain of, the procedure of an arrest, the procedure of detention, the procedure of this, and just about how, like, violation here, violation here, violation here. Even under Chilaxian law, you can see here, violation here, violation here.
Phaedrith is following along the whole time, and every once in a while when you missay something or you say something that's a little incorrect, he's very pedantically correcting you, very quick to interrupt you, like, oh no, you mean this year, or you mean that law works like that. And so he's following along, and he does seem to be appreciative of what you're doing, but he's a giant asshole.
So, but you can see, let's say, for argument's sake, that you did destroy Hardship's Hearth, and that you did start the riot at the market. Let's say, for argument's sake, you did. Even if you did, I think that this is something that they would have to dismiss this charge against you, because they can't prove it, and they can't prove a number of things about it.
Yeah, he nods along and says, I believe this as well. There's nothing, I don't believe they can prove anything. I mean, they claim to have found these things here, but I did not even see them find it. For all I know, one of the guards came with those items and, just presented them to Oppian.
I suppose with Kelsyra on, we'll know if there was a plan, won't we?
He nods and says, undoubtedly.
All right. This is your life we're talking about. This isn't an academic argument or something where you can afford to be disliked. Do you understand what I'm saying?
He pauses for a moment and then says, I believe I do.
All right. Good men get convicted of things they didn't do. It happens. I'd prefer you didn't end up on the borderline and push someone over the edge because of the way you said something.
Understood. He says, I will try to control my tongue.
Did you need anything before the trial?
Toss me a diplomacy check while you're doing all this. And Iwin, are you participating at all, or are you scribing, or what are you doing?
She's mostly been scribing. She would be, occasionally reacting when, especially whenever Zane would say anything about how Oppian is blind or incompetent or something. She would definitely be showing smirks in those instances. But I'm waiting for my time. So just let this play out a little longer.
Okay. Well, he doesn't react as you smirk. He appreciates that, but he does his best not to react to it. Nero, you asked him if there's anything else he wants, and you've been schmoozing him pretty well the whole time, and he's come to at least respect your knowledge of the law, if nothing else. But he says, no, I wish this trial to be over and to be freed.
So Ivan will kind of come in and say, I've been following along, and I understand all this stuff as well as both of you do. I think we're all people of intellect in this room. But the thing that I still worry about is that the people in the room that are going to be judging you are not of intellect like us. And these facts are all well and good, but people tend to go by the stories that they think of or the narratives that they have in their head. So, you would do well also to control the narrative. And one of the things that I think people are not going to be able to shake is, assuming that all this stuff is not true, and you are being framed, why? Why would that be the case? Have you thought at all about that, Zane?
He shakes his head. He's like, I've thought it to frame up for a while now, but I cannot figure that out. I don't understand what anyone would have to gain by releasing, using the urn in the open market, unless it was a distraction for the attack on the sword tower. I don't know. Other than that, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I struggle to think of that too, but that's the one thing that I worry the most about, is that when people are faced with this uncertainty, they, that's going to seem like the most likely alternative narrative, and yet people still won't be able to explain it.
Okay, so he nods. He says, "I'll spend my time today thinking of that, but I'm not sure what else I'll be able to come up with before the trial." Do you have any ideas?
No, she'll just say, it seems like Appian came in there, and it seems to all of us that the evidence is fairly circumstantial. I think we're in agreement about that. But yet here you are. So he came in guns blazing, clearly. Do you have any reason to think why he would do that?
He shakes his head. He's like, for all of Appian's faults, I do not believe him to be an evil man. I believe he thinks he is acting in the best interest of Cantaria and the best interest of the Glorious Reclamation and our revolution, but he is misguided. I don't know how he got that way or who helped him along that path, but he's been that way for a while now.
He does seem to have bad judgment. I would agree. You might do well to think of instances in which he's had bad judgment in the past, in case that becomes relevant.
He nods, and he seems very appreciative of that. He says, perhaps that will help. Yeah, I agree.
All right,
good luck.
Good luck. I'll be probably reading before the trial and see what we can find out.
I'll be helping him.
Okay. Zane stands up and he turns to leave, very awkwardly, as if not even thinking to say goodbye. But he does pause and turn around and say, "Thank you for this counsel. I appreciate it."
I was worried about you when I heard that you were going to defend yourself, and I was worried that what I had said to Appian about the bottle of the Discord bottle was what had set him off.
He nods. He says, "Perhaps it was. He spoke of many things he seemed not to understand when he was arresting me. He shrugs. He says, I don't know. I don't know why this happened this way." But you did a good job schmoozing him. Anything else? All right. So he looks to the guard and he raises his manacled hands, and they begin taking him back to his cell. Anything else as he's leaving?
Nope.
All right. So you guys are back in the big Narthex place. You want to do anything else before you leave the fastness?
Nope.
Okie dokie. I will take you back to the Little Uskwood.
Are there windows in the place? It's just like a solid fortress, right?
It is most like a fortress. Let me see if there's any windows. On the second level, there's definitely stained glass and stuff.
Okay. That's
the
mostly
first level, I think, is solid, yeah.
Fair enough.
And there is a spire on the top, like in the center of the thing. It goes up like 3 or 4 levels straight up. There's 2 floors, and then the spire goes up to like 2 or 3 more. And back to the Luskwood. Alright. Whoops. Wrong one. Alright. Is there anything else you guys would like to do before the trial?
Meet up with the gang and just discuss.
Okay.
Boris needs to check in with Brexter. He hasn't yet.
Sure. Is Brexter staying at the Little Uskwood, or is he hanging out at his forge? Because it's very cold for him when he's not by that forge.
No, I told him to hang out at the forge, like after, I can't remember what.
Okay.
I don't think we would risk him burning down the Uskwood.
Yeah, also.
On a whim.
So I guess I can say Boris stopped in to say hi on his way back from meeting with Linton.
Okay.
And maybe basically said, well, Brexter, we found Cinderboss. And we also found him a worthy, someone worthy to wield it.
And Brexter is over there. I'll put him next to you just while he's talking. So my first question is, when you went to the ruins of the smithy, there's like it's collapsed, and there's still like hellfire over there and stuff like that. So people tend to avoid it, but it is in like a normal part of town. So are you trying to be stealthy when you approach it? Are you trying to sneak into it, or are you just walking right up to it?
Oh, I didn't realize it was like right in town. I would go there like nobody's looking. Otherwise, I'd just keep walking by.
Okay. So, but are you trying to get in sneakily then? Yeah.
Alright.
So you're gonna sneak.
Yeah, sneak in.
Yeah. Go ahead and make a stealth check. So you're looking around and you're making sure that no one's looking, and you're trying to do your best to get into the thing. And not great, but let's see. Yeah. So some people see you walking over to it, but they don't bother you because you seem to be a man who knows what they're doing and whatever. And you were there with Nero when you helped to what was it? When you helped to put the big fire demon down. So they don't think too much of it as you walk over. And you do your best to make yourself look inconspicuous, like you're looking at some of the rocks and stuff like that. But people do notice as you go over.
Do I notice them notice me?
Make a perception check.
Oh.
No, you don't really notice too many of them. So you think you're doing a pretty good job. But some people did notice you as you got in. But yeah, so you get there and you begin whispering to Brexter, telling him that you found Cinderboss and you found someone to wield it. And he seems very happy. He has his little like needle of flame that he uses as like a tiny spear, and he's just kind of coddling it. And he says, "Good. Master Tychus would be very happy to hear that."
Mm.
He says, "Is he a servant of Moloch?"
I believe he is.
He's like, excellent. Burn the whole place down. Excellent.
It may come to that. But Brexter, I just need you. Like, I'll introduce you as soon as I can. But we still need you to just stay here, okay? Like he was out taking care of like something important for us. He's out of town right now.
He understands. He nods. He says, "I'd like to meet him. Really like to meet him. Need to see the hammer. Need to see Master's hammer."
You'll see it soon.
And he nods and he says, "I will stay. I will stay hidden here."
Good. I'll be back for you when the time comes.
Okay. Anything else from Brexter?
Nope.
All right, I'm gonna drop him back in Iwan's room. All right, yeah. So you did that on your way to Linton's, and you're all back at the Little Uskwood now, preparing for the trial. You've got maybe like an hour left. You want to do anything else in town before then?
Nero will grab a couple more books, and he's basically researching how much possession of contraband material is punishable, and whether that's a punishable offense at all, whether it's something that would be a minor offense that would warrant some sort of punishment, or whether it's, how much in the lawful God's portfolios is that punishable under the law?
Okay. Yeah, so you do some research on that, and some of those items are just specifically banned by the church, and they are to be destroyed immediately. But given Zane's position in the church, he's the Razospore or whatever he was called. He was given special permission to examine them. But
no, I mean the possession of the skin and the whole Discord bottle, like the incriminating items.
But you want to know? Ask again what you want. Sorry.
how much possession of those things would be? I guess how damning possession of those things would be in general. The fact that they were found hidden in the manor.
If someone other than Zane had them, they would definitely be grounds for certain, not execution or anything like that, but there are grounds for expulsion or things like that.
Sure.
Banishment. But I'm having trouble answering your question precisely. But basically, just possessing some of those items, those especially evil ones. But the Discord bottle would not be a serious crime. Like those have valid uses. You could argue that a good-meaning person could use that against bad people, and it's an item. It's how you use the item. But some of the relics he had there, especially like that tome that extended evil summoning things, like that is specifically used like for devils. Like when you summon a devil to make it stay with you longer. And those sort of things are much more just possession of those items is illegal here. And
what about the shred of skin being there? How incriminating does Nero think that is? I guess.
Well, that he was murdered, and murder is a crime here, and the shred is like that might even be death. Like you believe that could be death if it could be proven, but you also believe legally. Again, it's all circumstantial, and it does seem odd that it is like a tiny piece of flesh was found in one of his closets or something like that, but with it doesn't look good. Like forensics isn't as good as it is today, so it doesn't look good. Like a chunk of skin. Would it be good enough to convict on? You're not sure. You don't believe it would be, but again, this isn't a real judicial system. This is just the town council voting on what they believe to be true. So you think that it probably in a Chelik's court might not hold up, but who knows what's going to happen here.
Okay.
Do we know what happens in the case of a split vote? Does it go to Oppian or does it go to people?
It goes to people. Alright. I'm going to take you to the map of Cancer. What's up?
Vors just asked. So, because Vors wasn't there for the conversation with Zane. So Vors would ask Nero how the meeting went and what the play is.
I'm not quite sure. We're going to have to play it by ear. We're going to have to see what's presented. I'm still thinking that an innocent vote would undermine.
Wait, innocent or not guilty?
Not guilty. Would it undermine Oppian? I don't know how much it would gain us, but...
Alright, well, Linton is firmly in our corner. And I asked him to follow your lead, so...
Alright.
I haven't had a chance to prime Jaina. So I'm not sure where which way she'll swing.
I think we'll be okay.
In the previous session, you had talked to Jalea when she was drunk on Flayleaf and suggestible. You put it in her head that it's possible that Zane was corrupted by these items or even controlled by these items, and you made her believe that if he was, then he shouldn't be found guilty. So that's the last thing you put into her head.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. And you guys are at the Little Uskwood, and Laura Donna is on the council. The last thing she knows about this is she was there when you were talking to Oppian, and you said all these things, basically all the things you said to make Oppian angry. And she said she didn't have a head for magic or things like that, but even she could put the pieces together. Like, she believed you when you said, like, Zane should know what this is. It's suspicious that he doesn't know what this is, or that he seems to be forgetting these things now. It's convenient, a little too convenient. So that's where she's standing right now. She believes a lot of the things you told Oppian.
Okay.
Do you want to do anything else before you leave? Because you're at the Little Uskwood. You can talk to Loredana if you like.
Yeah, I'm sort of debating how we want this to go. Nero just talks with Loredana a bit, and just is sort of seeing where she's at and hearing where she's at. He starts to talk about, if we want this to be a town that stands up to the Empire and doesn't get crushed under its heel, I'm certain that we need to get the ruling class out. but throwing Zane back to Appian might not be the best way to do that. But I think probably the best way for this to go is if we see what the evidence is and judge based on it.
Okay. She nods and she says, from what you've told me, I don't know exactly what's going on here, but if they found the lid there and if they found the piece of flesh there, like as Appian says, it seems pretty cut and dry to me. And she actually gets a little flustered and says, "Look, Jalea, I disagreed with her a lot, but she was a member of the council and she was my friend."
Sure.
Okay. All right. So it's around noon, and you guys show up, and the stand and everything, basically the town council stuff, is still set up in the square, and everyone's there. They're a little early or on time, and everybody takes their seats on the town council table. So you can see all 6 of you are there: Appian, Janna, Nero, Linton, Calcyra, and Loredana. And it is packed today, even more than it was yesterday. There are fewer halflings around. They seem not to care so much now that they can defend themselves. But many people are interested in hearing how this goes down. So it is a packed event. There's standing room only in the back. And it gets right down to business. So Appian, again, tries to call things to order, and you notice that he has a bit of a hard time doing it. So let me make a diplomacy check. Yeah, so he does okay, but not as good as he usually does. So the people are, basically not really respecting him when he's banging on the table. So he has to bang a little harder. He says, "Order, order, come on, this trial will come to order." And he says, "We are here to judge the innocence or guilt of Phaedrith Zane." And he announces the charges. And it's possession of, illegal artifacts, being corrupted by illegal artifacts, and the murder of Jalea Hajara. And everybody goes a little silent when they hear that the murder charge is there, because everyone knew that he was playing with these items he wasn't supposed to be, that possession of this urn. But the murder of Jalea Hajara was something they were not fully expecting. How do you guys react?
Nero just nods and keeps his head down.
Boris and Ivan, doing anything?
Just sitting in the crowd.
I think
just sitting.
Ivan would be kind of sitting there, just looking very unimpressed and skeptical, kind of a combination of the two.
Well, okay. Zane, still in manacles, sitting in a chair next to you, he begins to complain as he does normally. That's preposterous, hearing the murder charge. What would I have to gain for killing Jalea? She died in the fire at Hardship's Hearth, and he's basically going on this doesn't make any sense. But then looking at Nero, he remembers that he should be keeping his tongue a little quieter, and he begins to shut up. But you can tell that he's it disgusts him to be accused of this. And everybody looks on intently, especially Calcyra the Just. And so the trial gets started. So Appian begins laying out what happened. He explains what went on when he went there with the patrol guard, the guard patrol, to Narcopolis Manor. He says
Joe?
that... Yes, sir.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, so...
Sorry, we'll be very brief. What's the legality of using things like if she can squint and tell if someone's lying? Is that a legal issue? Are you allowed to just impose magic on people?
Yes. You believe Calcyra the Just is going to be able to tell the truth from lies.
I'm wondering about the legality of that. Is it legal to impose that sort of thing on someone?
That's a good question. In Cheliax, I don't know the answer. In this council, yes. This council values truth and honor, and it is fully, they fully believe that they'll be detecting evil and discerning lies if possible.
Okay.
Sorry. No worries. It's an important note to make, yeah. So again, Appian's kind of just laying out the case. We went to the manor, we had suspicion that it was a bit suspicious that Zane didn't know what this item was, and he holds up the urn. They brought it here, and they say, various people have told us this is a common item in Nidal. and it seems rather suspicious that Zane would forget, or not know what this is. And again, when Zane hears like not know, you see he wants to begin talking and interject, but he stops himself at Nero's discretion, Nero's words. And he says, we heard from many people, or several people, that he had powerful artifacts in his possession, artifacts that he should have figured out and given to the church to destroy or repurpose, but for some reason he was hanging on to them for longer than he should. So I went there with a patrol of guards, and I confronted him. He was verbally combative, but not physically. And while I was arguing with him about what was going on, one of the guards, and he gestures to one of the guards that stands up, one of the guards found in a storeroom closet the stopper for the urn that was missing from during the melee at the marketplace, and a shred of Julia Hajara's skin, and he actually holds it up. And it's a chunk of skin. It used to be bloody, but now it's all dried up and gross. But it clearly has the Iomedean runes on it, like the prayers and stuff like that. And the crowd gasps because this is a gory thing. This is a chunk of a monk's skin. And he says these were found in the manor which only he had access to. And he says, and that basically he begins to sit down as if that's the case. This is the beginning of this is the evidence that we have. So Appian sits down and he says, I will ask one question to begin. And he says, just as I said in my opening argument, artifacts, like you were given access to these artifacts, these evil artifacts, like grimoire and all the things, with the purpose of seeing if they could be repurposed for the glorious Reclamation's cause, and if not, they were to be destroyed. Why has it taken you so long to identify these items and turn them over? And Zane answers rather plainly. He says, you've kept me busy with your pointless busy work. You've assigned me all of these tasks beneath my position, beneath what I should be doing. You had me on guard duty during the marketplace. And he seems indignant, as if, again, why would I be doing these things? Like, if you would just let me stay in my study for a day, I could tell you what these things are. But you don't give me any time to consult books. You don't give me any of the time to consult other sages. You give me nothing. And he's a condescending asshole about it. He's basically saying, like, you make me do all this. You're wasting my fucking time, and I would get my work done if you let me do my work. And Appian doesn't seem happy with that answer, but he just, he lets it go, because it is what it is. And he says, I have other questions, but I'd like to open this up to the council. What would you guys like to ask? And Nero, I'll let you go first if you want to butt in. Do you have anything you want to ask?
No, I'm sort of thinking based on what everyone else is going to ask, but...
Let's see. So, Loredana reiterates, I don't know much about magic or this urn, but as Appian says, I've heard from several people this is a fairly common item in Nadal. That and she struggles to come up with the word, and then I think Appian comes in and says, what's it called? Urn of Discord. Discord bottle. Yeah, the Discord bottle. And Laura says, yes, the Discord bottle. And she says, if it's so common, how could you not know? Like Nadal isn't that far away, and certainly many pass through. And she gestures to her face because she's Nidalese. And she says, I personally haven't heard of it, but surely someone of your knowledge would have. It seems a bit too much of a coincidence that you would not know. And Zane begins to get indignant, but calms himself and remembers what Nero said, the way he says things is important here. So you can see him compose himself, and he says, no one is more ashamed at my lack of knowledge of this item than myself. But I honestly do not know what it is. I did not know what it was when presented to me. And you can see Calcyra the Just is looking at him, and her big dwarf nose flares a little bit as he says these words. And she goes back and forth with him a little bit about stuff like this, but doesn't really get too much further than that. Jana is listening intently as things go on, but she hasn't said anything yet. Linton wants to know, if you where were you precisely during the melee at the marketplace? And Phaedreth begins answering. He says, I was north of the market, near the battlements and the trenches that were dug. I was bolstering the troops with arcane power and setting some traps. up there. And he basically just lists all the things, and under Oppian's orders, he adds a little dejected, little kind of, I was told to do this. And again, everybody's listening intently, and Kelsyra is following along, her nose flaring the entire time. And Linton looks at Nero as if, again, waiting to follow his orders. Or his guide. Any questions yet, Nero?
The shred of Jalila's skin. The cap to the Discord bottle. I mean, these are... I just... How did these get in your home?
Yeah, he shrugs and says, I honestly do not know. I barely used that storeroom. It was full of mundane items, boxes, candles, things like that. I have no idea why that, why it would be found there, or how it would be found there, but how it would come to be in my house. I swear on everything I am that I did not do these things. I did not have these items. I did not know they were there. What else we got? Janna, again, she was listening intently the whole time, and she says, "From what I've heard, as you were taking to Valor's fastness, the townsfolk nearby got quite an earful. One thing specifically stuck out to me, something I heard, and I'd like to ask you about it. You mentioned the sort of life you left, as if to prove your innocence, to prove your devotion to glorious reclamation. What were you talking about?" And Zane goes in to explain that before he came here to Cantare, before he joined the cause of the Glorious Reclamation, he was actually working in the capital city of Agorian as in a powerful wizards guild. He had a very comfortable life there. He wanted for nothing, and he was left to freely pursue the things he found interesting. And he glares at Oppian as he mentions that part. He says that I often class with the Thrune zealots, and I was disgusted with the taints of the infernal taint, the devils in the royal court. I could never, I had no taste for that, and I had no taste for the devil taint. It was an infection. It was seeping in further and further as time went on, and I couldn't stand it. I left that. I left all the Thrune zealots there to join the Glorious Reclamation back before it had taken Cantare, back before it was anything, back when it was just an idea, a cause. And I joined this cause because I believe in it. That's why I'm here. That's why I left everything I had to become this. And he says, and he gestures to Cantaria around. It's a very small town, like this town. Look at this town. Look at everything here. Think of what I have given up. And he realizes that might not be the best thing to say to the people, but he already said it, and he begins to shut up. This backwater piece of crap. He also notes that, though not officially a knight or priest in the church, he's served alongside the sword knights and the clerics here since the earliest days of the rebellion, and was inducted as Razospor. He says, I believe I've proven myself over and over again. What would I have to gain by setting a melee in the market? What would I have to gain by burning down a prison full of Thrune loyalists? What would I have to gain from killing Julia Hajara? And the crowd begins murmuring, because they don't know. What would he have to gain? And Oppian chimes in and says, perhaps you wish to rule the town for yourself? And Phaedra says, preposterous. Why? Come on. Why would I want that? And he says, I already hate having to deign to come to the council meetings. What would I want with the whole town? And Oppian doesn't have an answer for that, so he just shakes his head. You got anything, Nero?
I'm trying to think. I am underprepared, and my brain is still like a fried egg.
It's okay. Kelsira questions him a bit, but I don't have any role playing for that. She's just very direct, just kind of like she was with you and I when in the Temple of Torag. She asks extremely specific questions, like, where were you at this time? What did you do here? Who was with you at that place? And Phaedrith does his best to answer in kind. So he's very short and terse with his answers, just giving very direct answers, knowing full well that she, as an Inquisitor, can discern lies at will. It's like she smells lies. So he's being very honest and very direct with her, and answering her questions fully and completely. And she shrugs and she looks at Appian and says, "He speaks the truth. I believe every word he said." And Appian doesn't seem happy about that.
Phaedrith, do you like ruling the town?
And he shakes his head and says, "No. If it was up to me, I'd be left in my study to study these items, to figure things out, to do what I can, to do what I do best to help their glorious reclamation."
Do you like the common people?
He pauses for a moment, and he says, I wish the best for all of them, but they do not understand me, and I do not understand them sometimes."
Would it shock you to learn that while you were on the council, halflings were being enslaved from the town to the south?
He says, I've heard tales of that. Certainly, I would not doubt it, given the surrounding areas. It would not shock me, no.
Did you know that there were Needlese staying at the Little Esquid?
I don't think he knew that, actually, so I'm going to say no. And Appian says, well, I knew, and all these other people knew, and he's gesturing to some people in the thing. And Loredana is quick to point out that just because they're Needlese doesn't mean that they had any part in this.
It's true, but in my looking into this, I found that the Needlese did leave shortly before, the day before. Am I right? The day before?
Loredana nods. Like, yes, the day before or the night before. They didn't officially sign out, but they weren't there that night before the Oath Market. And again, there's rumbling in the crowd, and some people are like, that is a little suspicious, like that they left at the time. It was a Needlese artifact, right?
I was speaking with my trop and some of the other halfling people from the south, and they have been saying that since they've been freed, a dozen or so of them have been taken back into slavery, stolen in the night. Well, the Glorious Reclamation has been running this town.
Yeah, and Zane says that's a terrible tragedy. And Appian looks a little bit flustered because it's under his watch. So he, Zane asks now. He says basically, Loredana, what do you know of these Needlese? Like, as you say, it's a bit suspicious they left. Like, I don't know where this Discord bottle came from. I don't know where this artifact came from. If it was Needlese, it seems suspicious. Like, did you see them with any artifacts like that? And Loredana shakes her head and says, no, I don't pry too much into what my guests have or don't have, but they didn't make it obvious. They weren't walking around with the urn. And Zane doesn't say much after that. He's just kind of... He says, it's a little suspicious, isn't it? And the crowd seems to agree with that.
Where were you the night that Hardship's Hearth burned down?
He was in the manor. That was one of the few times I was allowed to pursue my craft. And I was in my manor. And he explains exactly what it is. I don't know exactly what was going on, but he explains what he was doing.
Sure.
Somewhat, because he has a good memory of it, and he just explains it and does so willingly. Zane asks if he can say something, and Oppian nods to him, and he just says, like, I this may not be the best way to frame this, but he just blurts out, I'm not stupid enough to keep the evidence of two crimes right next to each other in my own manner. And people tend to agree. Linton nods and says, that does seem rather stupid. And and he does. It's like, you are many things, Phaedrith, but you are not stupid. And then Oppian says, unless the items were still useful to you, what could the skin be used for? And Phaedrith Zane, I hit the knowledge button, doesn't work, but Phaedrith Zane, he knows a few things, and he begins enumerating. Well, there's a couple of things you could do with amongst skin, and as he begins talking about the first one, well, if you took it and you tanned it, he begins to stop himself and says, "This is too macabre even for me." Like he says, but truth be told, if someone were so inclined, there are things like these are certainly useful items. I do not deny that in any way, but they are not useful to me, and I did not even know they were there. Yeah, so that was I went around the table. That was all of them.
So if there's any murmuring going on at this time,
Mm-hmm.
Like basically if there's like cover of noise, or any opportunities of those, Iwan would be sort of turning to those that seem more rowdy than others and just being like, this all sure is suspicious. Seems to me like Oppian belongs on trial just as much as Zane does.
All right, go ahead and make a diplomacy check. See how good your schmoozing goes. Yeah. So you are finding people in the crowd that agree with you. There are still some people that are very loyal to the cause, and they can't believe that a cleric of Imodea of Oppian stature could be part of this, could be a framing, something like that. But you are finding many people in the crowd who are either neutral and/or Thrune supporters who are like, this something is definitely amiss. This is like you said, Zane's not that stupid. This seems like a really bad frame up.
Well, and she'll also sort of play off a little bit like, and when he's on trial, if you were put on trial, they should also ask him about what happened to Tychus. Like, I saw all those signs this morning, and that seems relevant here.
And you are correct. It does seem odd that Tychus was one of his best friends before the revolution, and it's come out that it was first a rumor and then came out as fact that he murdered him during the revolution. They got into a fight and he killed his best friend Tychus Grote, the town smithy, because he was a loyal Thrune supporter and he would not go. Like in the mostly bloodless coup, Tychus would not stand for it and he was put down. So yeah, you're finding a lot of willing people to listen to you and agree with you. As this is going on, Oppian brings up the thing that you guys talked about a bit in Little Uskwood, and he asks Phaedrith Zane, is it possible for an evil item of considerable power to influence someone's decisions or even control them? And Zane, without thinking about the entirety of the situation, begins saying, yes, of course, there are items that do that, but... And he pauses before saying, no, you have no idea what you're blathering on about. None of the items I had in my possession were even close to that powerful. Like, nothing there was powerful enough to exert control over an animal, let alone me. And they go back and forth for a little bit because Zane is he's angry and disdainful, and Oppian's getting a little angry because what he believes is that it could have happened. Like, you guys have talked to him in the Luskwood, like it's totally possible for one of those evil tomes or one of those evil statues or whatever he was playing around with to at least influence his decisions and make him do stupid things. And they're going back and forth, and Oppian's getting a little red in the face, and Zane, growing angrier and angrier, begins to lose his cool. You want to do anything, Nero, to stop him?
No, I don't think so.
Right. So as they're going back and forth, Zane drops a bomb and says, "Ever since you killed Tychus, you've been a broken man, and the town has suffered for it." And there's again a giant gasp and murmuring in the crowd. And Iwin's chatting with people has again made people more receptive to hearing something like that. And Oppian is furious, but maintains composure. Oppian is red in the face, and again, because this is mostly a rumor, and it's been confirmed by a couple of people, but this is the first time, like in a very public setting, someone of this stature has called out Oppian for doing that. But he manages to maintain composure, but he is furious. And Oppian says, "Is there anything else then?" He's not even looking at Zane. "Anything else, or shall we have this? Shall we call a vote?" And
I just wanted to say, Oppian, in line with what you're thinking, if we were to say one man destroyed Hardship's Hearth, and I say this in front of you, knowing who I am, Phaedrith, because I know you know me. If I had to say only one person, and that one person laid waste to Hardship's Hearth and left no evidence, at least I would be correct in surmising you could theoretically do that.
He pauses for a moment, looking at you as if a little betrayed, because this seems to be making him appear guilty. But he nods.
And I mean, and I believe you. I believe that what you're saying is the truth. There's nothing you've said that has been untruth. I say this not to incriminate you, but on the logic that if there was someone who was able to do that.
Yeah, so again, he pauses.
You would be such a person.
He looks at you in such a way, but he nods and says, "From what I understand, the prison was burned down, and I certainly could control the elements to make that happen. But anyone could." And he says, like, it doesn't take special magic as I to do that. Anybody with, enough oil and a source of flame could do this.
And as he keeps talking about, like, explaining, like, how else this could be done, and that this could have been this or that or the other thing, Nero, like, starts to smirk and is, like, visibly smiling about the way he's comporting himself as he, like, continues on in, like, a very calm sort of manner.
Yes, he does.
So
So he didn't understand that you were trying to help him out a little bit, but he does just kind of enumerate several other ways, like any of these things could have happened. And then he also makes a point to note that it might not even have been one person. Like, I don't even know why we would assume that. But he explains several different ways as which the whole thing could have been burned down.
Okay.
Anything else? Oppian is still furious and he's looking around as if we should call for a vote. Janish just shrugs, and Loredana nods solemnly, and Linton actually glances at you, Nero, as if waiting for you to answer first.
And Nero says, I suppose I don't know that there's much more to be gained here.
Okay, then Linton, very quickly after you say that, he nods, and Kelsira also nods. And they vote. So Oppian votes to find him guilty, and he is blinded by anger. Janna Holdis was not convinced by the evidence, and she votes not guilty. Loredana Viorica was not completely convinced by the evidence, but she still believes it's too suspicious, and she votes to find him guilty. And that's a shock. Phaedrith does not seem pleased with that at all. Linton Demir is looking at Nero, and he's not saying much. Kelsira the Just reiterates that everything she's heard him say, she believes to be true. But in Toreg's name, she believes it to be true. And I sense no evil in him, I sense no ill will in him, other than towards Oppian. And she says, I find him not guilty.
This is very interesting. I should have thought about how the votes would go.
So it's now 2-3, right? No, it's 2-2 right now, and Linton's Linton's looking at you.
I should have told him to hang the council. I forgot to do that.
It's fine. It's fine. So Nero cites an obscure legal passage and about how I don't think I can consider the arrest on the fact that this was improperly secured. I vote to acquit. And he's basically glaring at Linton once the eyes are off of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if it'd be better to hang it or better to...
Are you trying to convey something to Linton?
Yeah, he's going to try to convey something to Linton.
All right, make a bluff check. Let me make sure I know exactly how these rules work, because this is very important. That's pretty good. Convey secret message. 15 for simple and 20 for yeah, so you did it. You don't even need to make a sense motor check, so yeah. Yeah, so what exactly are you trying to convey to him?
I think I'm trying to convey to him to hang it.
Okay, so you're voting not guilty. And he looks at you and he doesn't react, he doesn't nod or anything like that because he's trying to be secretive about it. And he says, I vote to find him guilty. And there are gasps in the crowd because now the council is hung, as you said. And it goes to the people. And let's see how that goes. So I'm going to have Appian make another diplomacy check. Good Appian. Zane. Not
Even worse.
Yeah, even worse. So people don't like him very much. But there was a lot of evidence, and Kalsyra did say that I believe everything he said was true. So some diplomacy checks to sway the crowd, and I'm going to roll another d20 with some bonuses on it. Yeah, they decide to find him not guilty. So there's a deadlock in the thing, and they call for the seventh voice, and they say, who finds him not guilty? And then they shout. And who finds him guilty? And they shout again. And the not guilties have it. And Appian is furious to admit this. Like, he for a moment you can see him as if he's contemplating pretending he heard the other way. But in front of all of the town, in front of Kalsyra the Just, he says, the not guilties have it, and he looks away. Like, he doesn't even want to see the reaction of the crowd. And there's a cheer. Like, half of the audience is cheering. Because they didn't like Zane very much, but a lot of people did not think he was guilty, did not think he would do these things. And he is to be freed now. So someone walks over and takes the manacles off. And he immediately says, I resign my position on the council, should it still exist. And he wishes to leave. And no one can stop him now, so unless you guys want to talk to him, he plans to go back to his manor.
Is his possession of the manor a result of him being on the council? I guess is my thought.
No, that was not tied to it. It could certainly be revoked by the council, but
is he reinstated on the council now?
No, he already said I don't even want it anymore. Like, it came up during the trial that he was wasting his time. He feels like his time was wasted being here. He says, I will gladly advise you in any way you wish, but I do not wish to waste my time on this circus anymore. And he looks to Appian and says, I trust my possessions will be returned. And Appian, again, begrudgingly, nods. Still red in the face from the whole thing. Alright, if no one wants to stop him, he's going away. But he has resigned from the council, and he will leave Kalsyra the Just and Nero there. Alright. So that was the trial of Phaedrith Zane. You guys want to...
So,
you good?
I'll just mention that as it's sort of concluding, and again, with once there's a murmur going on, I will continue her influence campaign to just be like, boy, that sure feels like it raises a lot more questions than it does answers, doesn't it?
Toss me another diplomacy check, but even if you rolled poorly, you're finding some people that agree with you, they're more confused than ever. Yeah, and you rolled really well. Yeah, so you find a lot of people in the crowd that agree with you, that they don't understand what's going on. It's obvious that someone was trying to frame Zane. The majority of people voted to find him not guilty, which means they believe what Zane was saying. They believed everything he said, that he had no idea what these items were, he had no idea why they were there or how they got into his manor. And it seems like a really shitty frame-up. It seems like basically someone just put these items there and told Appian to go find them. and they have no idea who did it or why or to what end. But it's becoming clear now that people loyal to Thrune are doing something. It seems like it's not just all these things happening at once are too much of a coincidence, and they're beginning to lose faith in the government. Yeah, and Phaedrith leaves, and he gets all his stuff back a little later, but he heads back to the manor. And most of the people in town are there, so if you want to talk to anybody else, anyone on the council, or if you want to talk to Mytrop or Durgol or anything like that, they're all here in the crowd.
So Nero will be talking with the rest of the council members, and since several of you voted that this could be maybe that you thought this was a corrupting influence, is it something that maybe we shouldn't have him analyzing evil artifacts? I mean, he's probably the best qualified in terms of if we wanted to convert them, but maybe we should store them somewhere else. Maybe we should. I suppose if he'd have me, I could help him research them.
Oppian is quick to say, like, I would have all the relics removed from his possession immediately. And both Kalsyra and Linton kind of look at him like, you're being led by anger, you need to calm down. And they say, well, perhaps Nero's correct. Perhaps if under supervision, under the right supervision, we allow him to look at the artifacts. And maybe we actually give him the time to look at them, says Janna. And Lord Donathos, shall we vote on it then while we are here?
Could.
Okay. And yeah, so enough of the people nod that says, yes, okay. So, again, Oppian's pushing for just taking the artifacts away from him, but he doesn't find any, like, no one in the council's agreeing with him. Like, obviously, Zane is one of the most knowledgeable people in town, and despite not knowing what the fucking urn was, he's the one to be doing this. So they all agree on that, and they basically, so Nero, you would supervise, you would help him? You knew what the urn was.
I could.
Okay, yeah, so they say, okay, so it shall be done, let's vote. And they all say, like, all in favor of allowing Nero access to the manor so that he may oversee, and they begin debating the terminology of it. And there's like, it goes back and forth for a couple of minutes. But basically, like, you should be there to make sure that any corrupting influence does not gain hold of him again, if anything happened like that. Because they're still at a loss. They don't know what happened. They still don't know what was going on. But they believed everything he said. Like Kalsyra said, he was not lying. And they take a vote. Oppian, he reluctantly votes yes. He says, like, if we can't take the artifacts away from him, supervision should be required. Perhaps, we should have guards stay at the manor as well. So, are you okay with that, Nero?
I wonder if guards in the manor.
He's like, yeah, like permanently stationed there. The manor's big enough to house at least one patrol of guards.
I wonder if my only worry is that Zane will view it as an inquisition.
And Oppian
but
says,
if you feel that that's best.
Oppian says rather flippantly, like, I don't care what he feels about it. I want him watched. And the other council members, they look at each other like, do you believe this? Kalsyra agrees with him. He says, like, he may not like it, but it's for the best of the town. Perhaps just a small contingent of guards, if nothing else, just to keep an eye on him and to guard the manor. So she votes yes, and Oppian votes yes. And what do you vote, Nero?
Nero says, I'll vote if need be, but I think if I'm the one being appointed to watch over things, that maybe I shouldn't vote unless necessary.
Okay. Linton believes you want this, so Linton's going to vote yes too. And that's 3. And Janna and Loredana have no real reason to oppose you, so they all vote yes. So they say, okay, certainly, Nero can be the one to help out, and there will be guard stationed there. So it's basically unanimous. And you didn't even have to vote, but everyone else voted yes. All right. Anything else you guys want to do with the council while you have them all convened? All right. If not,
No, has the rumors about halflings and stuff haven't hit the town yet?
there have been some murmurings about it. Basically, like you hear what went on at the halfling camp. Because the halflings haven't been super silent about it. They want people to know, as you told them, they want people to know that someone came for them, and they were managed to stop them. They stopped full-sized humans from taking them away and grabbing their weak and whatever, and enslaving them. They don't get too specific about what went down because they don't. It's not super legal to be slitting throats in the middle of the forest like that, but. They made their stand, and they make it clear to all in town, like don't mess with the halflings. I heard some bad stuff went down there, and Mytrop is walking around again, not bragging too much about it, but he is dropping hints. He is basically saying like we can take care of ourselves now, and he says that you helped them to put some traps up and things like that, and they're going to continue doing that. They're going to continue defending the territory they have down there now and defending their people. Anything specific you wanted to know about the halflings and the rumors?
No, I was just wondering how much has hit the town, if it's something to bring up with the council.
Well, the rumors are definitely there. Oppian doesn't seem to know much about it. Like the council hasn't made it an agenda item or anything like that yet, but the rumors are there.
So Nero will probably mention what rumors he's heard on the street, and only things he's heard on the street. He's very careful about what he says.
Okay.
And that he says he heard things like this, and this might be something that warrants further discussion as time goes on. There's not a lot of details emerging, but if someone's making an attack on the town, the halflings are a part of this town.
The council agrees with you, and the Oppian admits, again reluctantly, this council hasn't done enough by the halflings. Mytrop was not wrong yesterday, despite all the anger in his voice. And I'm glad to hear that they're defending themselves, and I believe we should do more for them. Do you have any ideas? And he reiterates that we're still working on defenses for the main part of town. As you say, a group of trained knights could run through this town almost unimpeded.
So I think they've got a different sort of area to work with, what with there being sort of that swampy land around where they can set up foot traps and that sort of thing. The only dry ways into town are those two roads for them. But it's sort of a different animal. But yeah, I think it's good that they're defending themselves. I just wonder, they defended themselves against full-size humans, but I didn't hear anything about what happened after that. What, did they just run them off? What?
Well, he doesn't know, and Jana says she reiterates a lot of the rumors you have. She's heard the same ones. She runs a tavern, so she's heard a lot of stuff. And she says I don't know what the halflings did with them or what happened if they got run off, but from what I understand, they beat them pretty bad.
Good.
Okay. You want to call a vote or anything like that, or are you just letting the council know what's going on?
No, just bring it up to the council's attention, yeah.
Okay. All right. So the rest of the day passes, and you guys are free to do whatever you want. We can Google Plus that stuff. But everybody in town, give me a perception check. So Vors, Iwan, and Nero, give me a perception check.
Oh, that's the wrong one. I wish I wrote that.
Yep.
Oh, all right.
All right. Those were all not good enough.
Oh!
Yeah, so you guys are basically going about your day, and you don't notice anything happening. So...
We all rolled 13s. It's very suspicious.
Boberto. Are you back? Are you there? You're muted. I can't hear you.
I said, yeah, I'm here, but I'm on mute.
Hi, buddy.
Hi.
Are you ready to do stuff, or do you want to stay on mute for some reason?
Yeah, I could stay on. I could do stuff.
Okay, cool. That's not going on. Where am I going? There's a map. Do I not see it? Where is it? Okay,
There's a map somewhere.
There's a map somewhere. All right, buddy. So, like I said, it took you like 2 days to go out to the thing and to come back. But this is your camp. This is your loyalist camp. And your men have spent a lot of time counting up all the ore and stuff like that. And I can tell you now that... Where is it? I have it written down somewhere how much it is. Where the crap is the money? Okay, the shipment consists of 1,000 pounds of iron, 500 pounds of copper, 250 pounds of tin, 40 pounds of silver, 10 pounds of cold iron, 10 pounds of gold, and a pound each of adamantine, mithril, and platinum. Combined, the metals have a weight of just over 1,800 pounds and a total value of about 3,000 gold.
Alrighty then. How many men are here?
That's a good question. Is it like 12? Let me see. Tokens. There are 12 loyalists. There are a bunch of sick, the spore-dominated loyalists, which are still healing, basically. They've had a couple days to heal. I'll look at that in a second. And there are also Zara, and there's a couple of townsfolk that are basically like they were loyal Thrunes that could throw them in prison, but they're not full-on soldiers.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about the soldiers that came to hang.
12, and then there's about 7 more that are recuperating from their spore sickness.
Ones that came with us, they're gonna get a gold each.
Okay. That's pretty good for a regular soldier. Alright, so they're all healing. One of them woke up. The other ones are still asleep. And he's still pretty banged up. And you don't have any magical healing. You and Zara can't do any of that.
I could hurt him.
Yeah, that's not what he wants.
True.
And Zara's friend also gets 2 hit points back. He is awake but staggered. Alright. So you're milling about the camp, and Zara's not by the fire with Thrune Loyalist 4, the deputy chef. And she's just talking and making conversation. A lot of people are down in the southern area of the camp, basically recovering. And most of your loyalists are just kind of milling around, and you are standing next to your bunyip, which you have placed next to a rock.
Yeah, so I pet the bunyip. Let's say we unload this cart full of ore into one of these tents, right?
It's a lot of ore, you're gonna just dump it?
Well, I don't really know if I could bring it into town. That might be suspicious.
That is true. Yeah. You can throw a tarp over it or something if you want. You want to like put it in the trees and just put a tarp over it?
Aren't these like houses?
They're tents. They're just tents. Yeah.
Yeah. So can we put it in a tent?
You want to move the cart over to the tent?
No, I want to empty the cart into the tent.
Okay, you're gonna dump because there's gonna be a lot of work to get it back in the cart. Is all.
All right, fine. No, let's not do that.
it's up to you. If you want to just dump it.
No. You're right. Because then we're gonna get like shanked and.
So just hide it in the trees and cover it with one of the tents, and then like cover it up with shit.
Yeah, I agree. And then we'll surround it with soldiers.
Okay, so I'm gonna just push this into the thing. And where do you want to put your horses? Are they with the cart or are they someplace else?
They're attached to the cart.
Okay, they're attached to the cart. All right, in the shed.
They're making the shit of the.
Haha. All right. So where would you like your soldiers to be?
Every corner of that thing, I suppose.
So you're gonna put 4 men to guard this thing, hidden in the woods.
Yeah.
All right. Take 4 of them. All right. And you promised them they could have that dwarven ale when they got back to camp.
Yes.
All right. So 11 of them are drunk.
I would like one of the sober one, the one sober one, on the cart, please.
All right. So I'm gonna give them this little bubble thing, which means they're drunk. They're just gonna have a -2 to their d20s, basically. They're sickened.
For how long?
For a while, for hours, because they're drunk. So they're again, the morale is very high. Everybody's very happy to be here, and you've done amazing things. You attacked the sword tower. You shattered it. And then a couple days later, you went out on a raid and you got this ore shipment with all this very valuable metal. that was presumably going to be used to make weapons and coins for the new Glorious Reclamation Nation or whatever, and you stopped all that from happening. So all your Thrune buddies are really happy. They think things are going really well, and they're getting drunk on the dwarven ale you found in the cart. When a bad thing happens. And, yeah. So, somehow, the Glorious Reclamation was made aware of your raid on the thing. And someone shows up.
How? We took all the bodies, goddamn.
It's a great question, how? But as you're coming back to the camp, you're there for about half a day, and you guys are pretty drunk, and it's nighttime. And, someone begins sneaking up into the camp. So go ahead and make a perception check, Mr. Bob Elzoob. Petting your bunyip. That's great. That's fantastic. Zara rolled a bit better, and I'll roll like 2 for the drunk guys and stuff like that. Okay. So then I'll make a stealth check. I'll roll it publicly because you'll know what's happening soon. Yeah, so she's not very stealthy. Yeah, so...
Oh, she gonna die.
Yeah, so Kalsyra the Just somehow became aware of your raiding on the thing. And she is coming up, and she's trying to sneak up from the south, but she is very poorly sneaking up. So her and her 3 loyal foo dogs are approaching from the south. And Thrune Loyalist 10 begins shouting. He's very drunk. He's like, hey! Something from the south! And combat will begin. So I'm going to roll for... Loyalists will all go at once. And...
Now...
Yes.
Can a bunyip be used as a ranged weapon?
It's pretty heavy. I'm not sure you can throw it. I can look up how heavy they are, but
alright.
I would vote on no.
Okay.
Maybe if you're a barbarian raging.
Yeah, there are special rage powers for that. So I think that's everybody. All right. All right. So the first person to go is the Spore-dominated Loyalist. So he's looking over his friends who were all injured. So he moves up to here, and he just heard something from the south. So he moves up and takes a defensive position, hoping to protect his wounded friends. And the Spore domination is gone from him now, so he doesn't have any mushrooms going off of him. But there are all these pockmarks and stuff of where they were, as if he's still very much not out of the woods. The townsfolk go, and they're not really meant for fighting, so they begin to cower behind buildings.
God damn it.
You're fine, dude. Relax.
You have
cowards.
You have Cinder Boss.
So the foo dogs go. They're all going to go on one initiative. And Kalsyra just points at the one shouting, and the foo dog charges forward and tries to bite him. And that's a hit.
Fudge.
Yeah, so he bites him for 10. And that's enough to take him into... Yeah, so he's going to fall down, but he's already bleeding to death on the ground anyway. So he fell prone. And all the other foo dogs come out. So this one begins moving. How fast are they? 40. So this one gets to there, and he's just barking. And this one gets to here, and he's also barking. Actually, this one would charge that guy too. Let's see what happens. That is a hit for 5. Plus a trip. So, tries to trip him. Succeeds in tripping him, so he knocks him to the ground. This one bites his leg and knocks him to the ground. And that's it for the foo dogs. Zara, seeing this going down, runs over to this foo dog. He's going to charge right between the two of them. And try to hit the one that's charging. And a 29 is not a threat, but it's a hit for 10. And as she hits it, you can see that her sword actually like slides off of it a bit, as if the beast's hide was made of stone. And he only takes 5 damage.
The second one's a threat. Oh, she charged, damn it.
She charged, yeah. She had to move. Bob, Elzoob.
We're gonna go... Here we go. Oh, we can't get very far.
You could charge and make it.
Alright, I'm gonna charge this, thing.
Oh, wait,
Foo Dog 3.
You charging foo dog?
Yeah, I don't think I can.
What's up?
Alright, I charged Foo Dog 3.
Okay.
I'm gonna hit Foo Dog 3.
Yeah, you get to make an attack, yeah. Correct. Yeah, so you hit it. A 27 is definitely a hit for 16. And unlike the sword Zara's wielding, your thing just cracks straight into it. So you actually watch as you hit
Roll the fire damage.
Yeah, roll some fire damage.
What was that? 1d what?
Sorry. 6.
1 fire damage.
Sorry, Joe.
It's all good. Yeah, so you walk up and you crack it with the hammer, and even though its flesh is very stony, you watch as it just begins cracking around it, and it's standing up but barely alive. And that's it for you. And do you want to make that cloud of smoke? So you can do it every time you hit, apparently.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, so there is a cloud of smoke in this square, which gives it penalties in it and also blocks visibility and stuff like that. Then the Thrune Loyalists go. And let's see what happens here. So this one over here is gonna probably poke at the food dog right there in front of it. That's a miss. This one with another spear is gonna come up and do the same thing. This one has a great sword apparently, so he's gonna walk up closer. And yeah, cracks it for 10. It takes 5, but it does collapse. It's bleeding to death on the ground. And where else? Everybody's rushing to the south now. This one's gonna charge at that one.
I order the people that are standing next to the cart to not move.
Okay. That is a miss with a great sword. And Thrune Loyalist 4. We're running out of things to charge. But yeah. Oh, does he have a spear? He'll poke through his friend then. Yeah. That is a hit for 7, but it only takes 2. Alright. The 4 over there are staying. This one is seriously wounded, so he moves up in front of this guy and just takes the defense as well. And Loyalist 11 is going to come down. And he can't really get anywhere. He can't really do... Yeah, he'll move here. He can't charge though because of the rough terrain, so he gets to there. And a lot of these guys are drunken, and they're still singing the songs you were singing on the way back as they run into battle. Kalcyra's initiative is jacked up. It rolled. It says 4 senses, something like that, right? Let me see what's wrong with her initiative. Yeah.
Senses dark vision. Yeah.
Yeah. Her stuff is messed up. She's supposed to have a +3, so whatever. I'll just leave her at the end because that's where she ended up. But there you go. So she would have had a 7. She would have been last anyway. Or just she would have had the Loyalist. So she goes now, and seeing Bob Elzub with Cinderboss, seeing you knock her dog down. She points at you. She says, "Filth! You are everything Toreg and Iomedae stand against. The glorious reclamation shall cleanse you from this world." And she cast a spell, buddy. You should make a will save.
No, doesn't she have a penalty here?
Why would she have a penalty?
There's smoke in front of me?
Yeah, but she can see you. She's also going to move up. Bump, 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 bump. She's a
Okay.
dwarf. She's slow. Bump, 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 bump. Yes. Yeah, you were unaffected by it. You felt this tingling warmth of good all around you, which is good. It's not good for you. You don't like that, but you managed to resist that. And she moves forward, and how close are people? She begins to shout something. Let's see. Wrong. Come on. She begins shouting at all of the people. She says, all of you people from Hardship's Hearth, all of you loyalists, you are nothing. Like, the glorious reclamation will destroy you, will break you." And she begins trying to intimidate all of them. Bloop. Bloop. Come on. And everybody within 30 feet of her makes a save, including you, Bob Elzub. So
What save?
it is a... Let me look it up. Good. I should have this written down. It is a reflex save. Well, first she needs to intimidate you, and then you make a reflex save. So I'll make her intimidate check first.
A reflex save. Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured it would have been a will, but alright.
No, she's trying to intimidate everybody. So where's that? Yeah. So that's enough for everybody. So then everybody make a reflex save. So you can roll your own, Mr. Bob. And I'll roll for them.
Nice.
Boom.
Yeah, so you made it, and all of them failed except for Thrune Loyalist 11. And as she says, "The fire will cleanse you from this earth," and all of those people catch fire.
Oh, snap.
So everybody who fails it takes 7 damage, which is 11. That guy. So all these people take 7 damage.
Jesus!
And you watch as all your friends begin to catch fire. I'm gonna put the bloody thing on them.
Guys, come on, the fire was cool before.
And that's it for her turn. So she used a swift action to try to make you weak, but it did not work. And then she lit everybody on fire with blistering invective. So back to you, Spore-dominated Loyalist. So he's looking around and he's genuinely scared. He wasn't intimidated by the thing, but he's basically looking around and this is not going well for his team. So he moves up and he's raising his shield and looks at the food dog and the collapsed food dog. He's okay with that. So he's basically moving forward, trying to close the distance, but not willing to charge just yet. The townsfolk are all cowering unless you tell them to do something, Bob.
Put out the fires.
That's not bad. Yeah, so townsfolk 1 will run over to Loyalist 9 over here, and he just grabs a blanket and throws it on the person, which gets the fire on that person. And this one will get close enough to that guy, so that'll get the fire up from over there. This one's too far away, but he runs up, and you see him. He's got a bucket of water, and he gets here, but he can't throw it yet. Then the food dogs go. So this one is in front of he's unconscious on the ground, so that one's going to move. So he's going to charge at Zara. He didn't have enough movement to actually charge, so he's going to walk up and try to bite Zara. And that is not enough, so he bites at Zara, but she puts her shield down right at her leg and bashes the thing in the face and keeps it away. The other food dog is going to... There's 3 things it can hit. So D6, it chooses 2. So Zara, it chooses Loyalist 7. So it bites at Loyalist 7 and hits for 7, and he's down on the ground bleeding to death. So I'm going to put down the... He's not on fire anymore, so I'll do that and put the thing there. Alright. Because yeah, I'm using the blood for too many things. Alright. But both the dogs are done. The other dog is bleeding to death and continues bleeding to death. Alright, Zara goes, and she's looking at these food dogs, and she's not happy about the Inquisitor who's down there, but she's kind of surrounded by these food dogs. So she turns to the one that's charging, and she's going to drop her own charge. And she's going to unload on it with both her attacks. And those are both hits, not crits, but both hits, for 8 and 13. And it has some damage reduction, so 3 and 8, so it takes 11 damage. And it is bleeding to death on the ground. Is there any bonus I'm forgetting? I think there is, actually. It is, but not enough to save it. So, yeah. Bleeding to death on the ground. I'll put the little thing on it. Reaper. And you can see Calcyra isn't taking it very well that her food dogs are dying this quickly. They're supposed to be resistant to stuff like this. But it doesn't seem to be working. Bob, Elzub. You just gonna run past the food dog? This one's awake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you charging? Yes, no?
I
No,
said
he's
no.
not charging.
Okay, not charging. Alright, so this one bites her as you come past, and that is good enough. So it hits you for 5, and then he tries to trip you. And he trips you. So as you're walking past his unconscious friend, you fall on the ground. And you are prone. And I'll move the food dog away. But you are prone in your own smoke as the food dog turns to bite you. And that was your move. You can take an action now.
If
I'd
you
like
hit
to
him from
hit
ground,
the
you take a
thing from
minus
the
4,
ground.
but yeah.
You can stand up too, because it uses attack of opportunity to bite you. It doesn't. I'll just tell you it doesn't have combat reflexes. You
Fine,
can
then.
assume that.
Okay, then I'll stand up, I suppose.
Okay. That's all you get to do. So you are no longer prone. You are standing in your own smoke. And that's it for you. So now the Thrune Loyalists go. And let's see which ones are still awake. Loyalist 1, that one's out. Loyalist 7 is unconscious. So 11 is going to 5-foot step and... no, he has to move a little bit to get to this dog. And he'll flank with you. And that's a hit for a 12. So take 7. Still up. Loyalist 4, the deputy chef, is going to take his spear and poke at the thing. And does not hit. Who else is awake? Loyalist 6, what do you got? You got a great sword, so you got a 5-foot step forward. And swing at the dog, and that's a miss. Not as good as last time, huh? And this guy's going to step up and use his long spear. With a flank, that's good enough for 6, but it only does 1 damage to the stony creature's hide. Oh, they're all on fire, some of them. Some of them are on fire. So that one takes 1d6. Do they get a free reflex save now, or do they have to stop to do it?
I think they have to. I think they have to spend their action to do it. Probably. I don't know what the effect is, but usually
six is going to try, and he fails. So he takes 3 more fire damage, and he collapses to the ground on fire. That's all of them, and there's Thrune Loyalist 3 over there who's barely standing up. He begins to move over, seeing how badly things are going, but all he can do is catch up. And your 4 men at the cart are still there, guarding the ore. Kalsyra the Just goes, and she is going to try to cast a spell on Zara. And Zara makes a will save. Zara has failed her will save and is paralyzed. From hold person, so she's paralyzed. And Zara should have tried. She would have got fire too. So she didn't even try to put it out, and she took 4 damage on her turn. All right, so Kalsyra just does that, and she likes where she is basically. So she's going to step forward just a little bit, surveying the scene, and that's it. So we're back to the Spore-dominated Loyalist, and he's looking at Bob as if, what should we do? Like, this isn't going very well.
Kill her.
Make a diplomacy or intimidate check to give your order to the terrified, almost dead, fungus-infected man. Yeah! Yes, so shout it. Be a little angrier with your kill her order.
Make her dead.
That's your angry?
Yeah, so he charges in with a short sword, and boom, nails it for 3 damage. And she has no damage resistance like her dogs do. So cuts her a little bit. Townsfolk 3 goes, and these ones are trying to put out fires. So this one steps up and puts the fire out of Loyalist 1, so stop the fire there. This one puts out a fire on the one that's on the ground, burning to death. And the only fire left is on Zara, and Townsfolk 1 actually runs up and throws a thing on Zara, which provokes from the dog, but the dog hasn't gone yet, so it doesn't matter. So Zara is now off fire as well. And that's all the townsfolk. And we're back to the foo dogs. Only one foo dog is alive, and it's fighting Bob. It just bit you once, and try again. It fails to bite you this time, though. Zara goes, and she gets a will save. She's still stuck. Yeah, she's not the strongest will person.
2 to 1, you're in trouble.
Bob, Elzub, you watched as Zara, again, she has like her sword raised, and she's just standing still as if she's not moving.
Can I smite Kalsyra?
You can assume she's good and do that, yeah.
Great, what dice do I have to roll to make her dead?
Well, smiting just happened.
You would have to move up and hit her.
Yeah, so basically you get your charisma to hit, which I'd have to look it up on your sheet, which is +3 to hit. And you get it's 3. And it's +5 to damage, your paladin level to damage. And you also get your +3 to AC.
Okay.
So you're smiting her. So you ask Moloch, what do you ask Moloch for?
I'm gonna die, please help me, I'm angry.
Alright, so go ahead. Now you have to like step up and hit her. So you can 5-foot step past the dog without getting tripped.
Okay.
Alright, and then you have to hit her. So she's staring at you as you walk up. And she has her
So I have
shield
to hit
raised
her
as well.
with the fist?
Yeah, the PC weapon 1.
Oh, PC weapon 1? Okay.
Yeah, you want to swing your hammer, right? You just have a bonus to it, yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, so you rolled, and that is super high, so yeah, you did hit. For 21, plus your paladin level, which is 5, so you did 26 damage. And she takes all
and
of it.
I get fire damage also out of that?
Yes, you do.
God damn it.
Alright, yeah, so you hit. And then your loyalist buddies go. And they're all gonna work on this foo dog. All the ones nearby are poking at the foo dog.
Wait. Where was the smoke in that ordeal?
Oh, you get to you just get to do it. You're correct. So as you do that, there's this choking black smoke surrounds the dwarf, and she has penalties to hit if she stands in it, but she's not stupid enough to stand in it for too long. So these guys are now trying to poke at the foo dog. That's a hit for 5, which does no damage. That other one was a miss. Thrune Loyalist 7 up there is gonna step on this unconscious thing and swipe. That's a hit for a 7, which is 2. So they're all ganging up on this foo dog, and not really doing too well on it. That's all that. That's that. That's all of them I can see that are still standing. And you haven't changed the orders on those ones up there, right? The ones guarding the ore?
Yeah, no, they're guarding the ore.
Alright. So Kalsira the Just goes now. And I wanted to check one spell that I should have checked while I was doing other things. But let's see how this works. It is a standard action, so she doesn't want to do that. Right? Yeah, so she's just going to turn and she's going to be fighting you. So she is going to step up out of the smoke. And you watch as she takes her hammer, and it's already on fire. And she asks Toreg for a blessing, as you asked Moloch for one. And her weapon gains the Bane ability. And she chooses humans as her Bane target. So she swings at you, and she hits for 13, plus 10, plus 4 is 27.
Jesus.
So she swings wildly at you, and as she's swinging her warhammer, it seems like it's finding exactly your weaknesses as a human. It's like hitting your chest in just the right spot and knocking the wind out of you. And she's smirking as she looks at you as she's doing this, as if she's doing a great holy thing here. And she's done. And we're back to the Spore-dominated Loyalist, who you convinced to fight. Seeing how hard she hit you, he's not too happy about that. But he is... I'm going to move this guy away. He's going to give you a flank. He's going to try to walk around. He's going to withdraw from the first spot and just give you a flank, because he doesn't think he's going to do too well. But he's going to move in position to flank with you. And that's it for him. He's fighting defensively. Or he can't. He withdrew, so he can't. So the townsfolk go, and they put out all the fires. They begin dragging some of the unconscious people away, slowly. So they grab them and begin pulling them away so that they're not getting stepped on and crushed. And who else is unconscious? You're unconscious. That dog is... Yeah, you're unconscious. So they grab a bunch of them, and they just begin dragging them backwards. Foo dogs. One is still alive. It's going to turn around and try to bite this loyalist. 17 is a hit for 10 plus trip. Let's see if it trips him. So 10 damage is enough to knock him unconscious. Yes, the trip doesn't even matter. So bleeding to death on the ground. And that's the only foo dog alive. Zara goes, and she gets a will save. She's out! She's free!
Yeah.
So she shakes the thing, and she's gonna destroy this goddamn foo dog. Yeah,
There's a flank, I forget. So.
Yeah, the flank helps. So she does hit for both, and she does 5 damage with each of them because of the stony hide of the thing. But it's still enough to knock it down, and I'm just going to mark it dead just to get it out of the way. And Zara is going to 5-foot step over it to get next to Kalsira the Just and your friend Bob Elzub. And then it's Bob. It's your turn, buddy, and you're still smiting, remember.
Yeah. So I'm going to kill her.
Yes, you rolled a lot of 18s. But yeah, that's 19 damage plus your smite of 5, so it's 26. So go ahead and roll your fire damage.
Roll with the die. Roll with the die.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. Yeah, okay.
I don't do that. 30, yeah, so you crack her for 30, and she's hurt pretty bad, yeah.
No, I want to burn a hero point and kill her.
You want to burn a hero point to act again immediately?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so you get an extra attack, and yeah, you hit her, in a flank, yes. For 17, plus 5 is 22, 24. Yeah, so you crack the shit out of her. And she's bleeding to death on the ground, but not dead.
God damn it.
And
what makes you think you're gonna let her live, dude?
Yeah.
It's like her soul out. Use a.
Then the loyalists go. And there's not a whole lot left, but they are... I guess they're going to fall on her, because the dogs are all dead. So yeah, so they're all going to come and try to help you. The sword, no, not good enough. The spear, not good enough. So they're all
Who are they
clinging...
falling on?
Oh, she's prone, right? And unconscious.
She's dead.
Well, she's not dead. She's dying on the ground.
Okay,
So,
fair
yeah,
enough.
so-
I'm gonna make her dead in a minute.
Fine. So do you stop them? Because they're just poking at her right there.
Yeah, I would like to stop them, and then I'm gonna rip out her insides and give them to my god for powers.
Okay. Yeah, so they all walk up as if they're going to be spearing this holy warrior, and you say, no. Role play a little bit. What do you say to your men?
All right, so I look at all my men and I put up my arms as if I'm pushing them back, right?
Yeah,
And then I
with
say,
your
all right,
flaming
everybody,
hammer.
everybody, up! I got flaming hands. And he's laying on the ground now, yeah?
Yeah, she's on the ground.
Alright, so I take my flaming hand and I put it onto her stomach, right?
Yeah.
Right, so I'm assuming at this point in time. And then I rip out her stomach.
Okay, yeah, so you get past her chainmail and stuff, and you just begin, like with infernal flaming claws, scratching her stomach open, ripping out her stuff?
Yeah, I'm like taking out her insides.
Alright.
All of them. Not
All
just
of
the heart, all of them.
All of her insides. Alright. And yeah, so, yeah.
And then I put the insides on the top of the hammer and then hold them up to the sky.
Yeah.
And then tell my god that this was for him.
What's your god's name?
Magma Lord or something.
You'll get it one day. I'll make you roleplay one of these days. Magma Lord or something. So you raise your hammer up with organs, intestines, and stomachs and ovaries on it, and you shout, "Magma Lord!" And nothing happens, but she is certainly dead. Most certainly dead. Yeah. So the dogs are still bleeding to death on the ground, and your men look to you as if it's okay for them to kill them.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So they go around and they begin spearing and sorting the food dogs, who are very resistant, but do eventually die. And that was it.
Now, whatever guy's dead, I would like to take the gold back from them.
None of them are actually dead, I don't think. They're on the ground bleeding to death.
Alright, well, let's get them patched up then.
Yeah, Zara is quick to walk over and try her best to patch them all up, so she'll just...
Okay, can I, like, cauterize wounds with my flaming hands, or what?
You would hurt them with fire while doing it. I wouldn't recommend it.
Alright, I don't want to do that then.
Yeah, so Zara is good enough to heal all of them. That 8 isn't very good. Yeah, she manages to keep them all alive. But some of them are in a really bad way, so there are going to be a bunch of more people in the injured list.
Injured reserve.
But yeah, so let me find out. She did have loot. She also had all these cool abilities that I didn't have a chance to use because you slaughtered the crap out of her. But there's her treasure. She had a potion of cure serious wounds, potion of spider climb, +1 chainmail, +1 buckler, +1 morning star, repeating crossbow, holy symbol of Torag, and some gold. I also had forest music that I forgot to queue up, so I'm brilliant.
I just have the generic fantasy music.
I still had the town council like chatter the whole fight.
No, I turned that off because it wasn't really fitting. Because there
Yeah.
should have been tavern like chatter.
But it was on. It's in the recording now. This tavern chatter for the whole thing.
Great.
So yeah, congratulations, Magma Lord. Yeah, so you walk over, and again, I think most of your people now are unconscious, having been burned very badly and/or cut. So you have, he's still standing, but barely. So you have 4 still. Oh, plus the 4 on the cart. So you have 4 conscious guards. So 8 total. 8 still standing, and the rest of your guys are cut up or burned really badly.
Now, can I ask Malik to fix them?
Malik. You're getting closer. You unless you slotted Cure Light Wounds, which I doubt you did.
I don't think anti-paladins even get that.
Oh, they don't even have a choice. So no. So
Right.
you can't heal them, and you have no magical healing. You have some potions, like you just had a potion of Cure Serious Wounds. If you wanted to give that.
Yeah,
to them.
well, I don't know which one is most dead, but I'll give it to him.
The one that is most dead is this guy. Thrune Loyalist 7. Loyal to you, and he's the worst off. He was on fire and cut.
Alright, so Bobby walks over to him and gets on his hands and knees and says, "My friends, you are not well."
Okay, go ahead and roll 3d8, and we'll add 5. That's
course.
Yeah. So 3d8 plus 5 is 13. So he bounds back. They don't have a whole lot of hit points, as evidenced by how quickly they fell down. So he bounds back, and his eyes open, and he sees you up above him, and he's still drunk after coming back to life. And he's like, What just happened?"
You're drunk. You died. You're back.
I died?
Well, no, not really, but you'll be fine.
He looks confused, but he's glad he's awake. And he looks at you, and he can see that your armor is actually dented where Kalsyra hit you in the chest. He's like, "Are you okay?"
I'll be fine. We'll be fine.
He looks around and he says, I can tend to them, but I don't know. And he looks and he sees like a lot of them are badly burned and still bleeding a little bit. And he's like, I can do my best, but Zara's been the primary healer. Like, yeah, he can't really do much. He's like, "I will try."
That's all I can ask, sir.
And Zara, she walks over to you, and she looks dejected because she was paralyzed for 2 rounds and she wasn't able to defend people. Her whole thing is she's a shield Maralictor. She walks around with her shield and can help defend other people, but she again failed to do that, and more of her people are now injured. And she walks up, she's like, how could they possibly know? How did they find us?
We took the bodies. I don't know. Did you tell them?
She shakes her head and says no. She says, "I told you earlier, though, it was only a matter of time before one of the patrols stumbled on us." But her?
We've, maybe the townsfolk told her.
How would the townsfolk know?
I'm sure they were around when we were ordering them in. I mean, like the 3 we have here.
Oh, you mean these 3 townsfolk? They haven't left the camp, and she'll tell you that. Like, they haven't left the camp. They're loyal to Thrune, I assure you.
How do we know that?
She's not certain, but she says, like, they've given me no reason to doubt them.
I think this is the reason to doubt them.
And she says, "You can question them if you like."
So the 4 dudes that were watching the cart, I tell them to search the perimeter of the camp and look for spies.
Okay. They go off in pairs to go do that, unless you tell them not to go off in pairs, but they feel more comfortable, especially because some of them are drunk. And they go off looking for spies and do not find any. They're gone for a while, though.
Alright, well, we need to figure out who the spies are, then. Who is the informant?
She shrugs and says, I don't know, but sitting around like this, it's asking for trouble. And if she found us, certainly they'll send more.
Where would you like to move?
She says, I don't know, but we can't stay here. We have to move the camp. But with all these injured, I don't know how we could, even with the cart.
We have the horses and the bunyip.
She says the bunyip only makes things harder.
For now. Alright.
But she says, with this many wounded, with this many unconscious, we can't, even with the cart, piling them up as high as it would go, like, we can't move like that.
Well, I guess we'll have to take my men and leave you with your men.
2 of her men are the ones that are still standing, for the record. you have 2 men, and also all the patrolmen are yours too. So you have 6. She has 2 at this point.
Interesting. Well, I mean, I guess let's, we'll put the dead and wounded in the trees. And we'll just have to make 2 trips.
You want to stow the unconscious bodies in these trees while we find a new camp? And then what, come back for the others?
Yeah, correct.
Joe, were there any other potions from last week's loot? I imagine that we didn't write them down.
From the halfling camp, I think the Slaver Master had one.
No, the cart, the raid.
Oh, the raid on the cart? I can check that actually. Not that one. It's supply shipments. All right, let me. Militia volunteers had nope. Let's see. Halfling slingers had nope. Who else? Who's dead? There was a sergeant. Yeah, potion of cure moderate wounds. So there's another potion.
All right, yeah, let's do another guy.
And there was an armored dwarf. Yeah, so that's 2d8 for that guy. 2d8 plus 3, and that's it. There you go. Did you add the plus 3 in there already?
No.
Okay, so 15 for this guy. And he's back to full. He wakes up and he's also drunk. He said, "What happened? What just went down? Were those dogs real?"
Terrible shit went down. The dogs were real.
Well, he stands up and he begins assessing the situation. And he also sees all his friends that are hurt. Which is who was that?
An old friend.
He looks at you quizzically and says, I don't know. And he's like looking at the corpse of the dwarf. She seems important, eh?
We have to move.
Okay. He nods. And she very visibly has like a tabard that has the Glorious Reclamation sigil on it and stuff like that. And she has a hammer hanging around her neck, which is the symbol of Torag. So he smirks and actually he spits on the corpse of the dwarf.
That's the spirit, sir.
All right. So you guys are going to move camp somehow. Zara said that she would prefer to stay with the unconscious while you move some of them.
All right. Well.
Yeah. Like unless you dump out the cart, which you talked about earlier. Like you can't take all of them, so you could take maybe half of them. It would take you 2 trips, and Zara would stay with them.
I mean, all right, yeah. So we'll dump out the cart first. Yeah? I assume.
Well, no, you can take half of them with the fully loaded cart, but again, it's really heavy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I'll take half of them.
Okay.
I'm gonna take 3 of the ones that are still alive with me.
Okay.
Walking.
Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna leave the rest of them here to guard the place?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So you can do that. We can hand wave that. So you're gonna be doing that during the night, finding a new camp, and your guys are all tired and drunk, and most of them injured, but they obey your orders and they begin finding a new place to camp. Zara seems very suspicious. She has no idea how. Like she does say that, like she told you, eventually you would be found, but you know, to send Kalsyra out here is suspicious. Like she was expecting to be found by a regular patrol, maybe with some knights, but Kalsyra is too important to come out. And why her? Why not? Why didn't she bring anybody else?
Well, she's dead now.
That is true. Anything else you want to do with your men or Kalsyra?
Can we throw the bunyip in with this cart full of people?
Yeah, with the first cart, sure.
Yeah, all right, good.
All right. So go ahead and give me a survival check to find a good campsite.
Hold
on. You're not very good, and I'll let your best lieutenant make a survival check as well. Yeah, you begin pointing to a spot, and it's a very tactically bad position. Like you're like, oh, we'll stay over here on the low ground, over with this ridge overlooking us. And your sergeant says, sir, I would recommend this, and he points to a much safer location with some tree cover and things like that. But he is able to find a little lake for your bunyip.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Hell yeah, let's go there.
All right. Yeah, so he guides you through the meandering forest, and he finds this lake that he knows about, and he takes you there. And you guys make 2 trips. You roll a dice. Yeah, nothing untoward happens during your trips. And you're able to get everybody to the new camp safely.
We did it, guys.
You did it.
It's like the old camp.
Alright, so it's 8:09 now, so I guess we can call the session here. Is there anything else you guys in town wanted to do? Like the night of the trial or anything?
I was going to visit with Calcyra, but that isn't going to happen. I don't know.
So,
Did you guys have anything?
On that though, if he was going to go visit her, like, I mean, he would find out that she wasn't there, presumably, right?
Yes, if you were going to go to the Temple of Torag, you would see that she and her food dogs were not there that night. She left town in a hurry.
Then he basically would probably question one of the acolytes, I have council business, where'd she go?
None of the acolytes know where she went, but they do tell you she left in a hurry. She left in full battle armor, and she took the food dogs with her. Like, normally she leaves them to guard the sacred temple, but, something must have warranted their presence.
Which way did she go?
She said they don't know. Like, after she left town, she's not sure. She didn't tell them anything. She just headed out of town near Little Uskwood, presumably
Did she
north.
talk to somebody else on the council, anything like that?
They're unaware, and a lot of the people in the temple are novices of Torag, and some of them are of Iyamade, but they don't seem to know very much.
Okay.
Anything else you guys want to do before we call it for the night?
Go full murder hobo.
You can just wander around the forest and find stuff if you want. There's patrols out there. There are monsters that are just hang out in the forest. There's all kinds of stuff.
Dang. Dag, I can't believe it's 11 already. 8 for you guys, I guess, but...
Yeah. I don't have much more prepared for this unless you want to storm Valor's fastness, so that's pretty much it. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop the recording now.